Yeah, we back the other way, man. Y'all know I have to come. I can't be having it, just looking any kind of way. So, yeah, we most definitely back the right way, guys. The way that we know that works, call it whatever they want, but it most definitely gets the job done, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. How y'all doing today? We most definitely back, and we focusing on the Candace Owens and Erika Kirk situation, man. They're going back and forth right now. Let's kick it off right here, with a little briefing on what they got going. Let's go.
Let's switch gears. Want to get to a few topics with you. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, is planning to meet, we're learning, privately today with podcaster Candace Owens. Now, Erika Kirk last week publicly criticized this ongoing alleged conspiracy claims about her husband's killing, including those being made by Candace Owens. Steve, what do you think comes of this meeting? And are you surprised that the two are actually going to meet face to face?
It's a fascinating development, I have to say. For people who maybe are not living online as much, on YouTube, on social media, on X, this story has grown tremendously in the last month or so. Candace Owens is a massive force in the culture right now, and she has been making the, you want to call them conspiracy theories, certainly the questions about Charlie Kirk and his assassination front and center in what she does every single day. And obviously, she has a previous association with Charlie Kirk, and now they're going to be sitting down privately, which I think is very notable as well. So you won't know exactly what happens in that one-on-one in-person meeting. I'm sure we will hear in some capacity both sides of that conversation in the days and weeks to come. But I think that there's a real effort right now by Erika Kirk to try to, as she said in that CBS sit down that she did, stop. To tell Candace Owens, to tell others who are focusing on aspects of this assassination.
OG, let me encourage you to snatch that membership, man. You are a moderator. All moderators have the work shirt, which is a membership. I encourage you to get one, if you don't mind. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen.
Investigation into the forthcoming trial. It's just the day-to-day of asking these sorts of questions to stop, to let the process play out, to let people grieve, to let people mourn, and to honor his legacy. There's AmFest coming up, which is a gigantic turning point event, the first since Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's beginning this weekend. I think that there's a real effort by Erika to try to just get everyone to focus on different things here, and so we'll see if that happens. I think that that's something that people will watch very closely, and we will see the results of that in how each side talks after it. But I think it's a really interesting development, and I have to say, I love the idea of people meeting in person. I think that we need more of that, even with people who you vehemently disagree with, even if people you find their views repugnant. I think that if we're going to get anywhere in this society, this is the sort of conversation that needs to happen, one-on-one, face-to-face, in real life, and not online, not with a bunch of cameras around, not over Zoom. I love that idea, and I hope something good comes of it.
Thank you for watching. Right. Subscribe below and down.
So, yeah, that was a little bit. They supposed to be having an in-person meeting, guys. Erika Kirk and basically Candace Owens, guys. Erika had a town hall where she spoke on the passing of her husband, how she feels about these conspiracy theories that are flying around.
Nations and assassination attempts against a Republican presidential candidate, Democratic legislators, and a conservative activist.
One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved.
That's a different question.
Arguing and debating on campus. Fighting for the gospel.
You're thinking way too simple about this. You got to go deeper.
Truth. In front of a big crowd, and then he blinked. He blinked. And saw his Savior in paradise.
Even as he had all of these positions, many of them seen as controversial on different issues, he had a huge galaxy of support on America's right.
When you stop the conversation, when you stop the dialogue, this is what happens. When we lose the ability and the willingness to communicate, we get violence.
CBS News presents A Town Hall with Erika Kirk.
Let's hear from Erika, guys.
I'm Barry Weiss, editor-in-chief of
Make sure you take the time to double tap that screen, guys, as we get into this. Double tap that screen. That's how you hit the like button, or you can click the 3 dots on the right-hand corner. Most definitely hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new, guys. This is everything I know about the Erika Kirk and Candace Owens situation.
CBS News, and I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let me tell you why we're here. If you're watching this or you're sitting here in this room with me, you know what I know, which is that we live in a very divided country. A country where many people feel that they can't speak across the political divide. Sometimes they feel they can't even speak across their own kitchen table. And one of the goals of the new CBS News is to change that. And this town hall is just the beginning. This is going to be the first of many conversations and debates on CBS News about the things that matter most, which are often the hardest to talk about. I can make one promise to you, and it's this. You will not agree with everything you hear tonight or in any of these other broadcasts. And that is exactly the point. Because the premise of a democracy is that we persuade each other with words and not violence. And that the only way to get to the truth is by talking to one another. And that brings me right to tonight's guests, Erika Kirk. 3 months ago, Erika Kirk's husband, Charlie, was assassinated on a college campus in Utah. To some, Charlie Kirk was controversial. To others, he was heroic. What is indisputable is that he transformed the American right in the 21st century. He did it through an organization called Turning...
Let's take time to double tap that screen. We got 100 watches, guys. Double tap that screen. If you're on the mobile device, and click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up.
Point USA, which he founded when he was only 18 years old. In the wake of Charlie's murder, Erika has now picked up his mantle. The mother of 2 young children, she is also now the CEO and chairwoman of Turning Point. Now, Charlie's murder was not an isolated tragedy. And tonight in the audience, we have other victims of the political violence that's ripping through this country. We also have religious leaders, college students, young Christians, and others invited by CBS News. You're going to be hearing from some of them tonight. Okay, we have a lot to talk about. So Erika, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I was very grateful when you had reached out because it was an opportunity to be able to have a conversation that Charlie always enjoyed, being able to have dialogue on both sides so that people could really hear everything that's going on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for making the time. There's so many subjects I want to cover. I want to begin with the hours and days after your husband was murdered.
Yes.
You got up in his podcast studio where he broadcasted from for many hours every day.
Yeah.
And you said this. You said, "You have no idea what you have just unleashed." What did you mean by that?
Let me give you a little background of that day. We get home. The team goes to dinner. I'm laying in my daughter's bed and I can't sleep. It took me months to even walk into my bedroom. I'm laying in my daughter's bed. I can't sleep. I grab my phone and I start typing out it. And those are my words. That morning, the team reached out to me and said, they think they got the guy. You should probably say thank you to the authorities and just make a statement. I said, okay. I wasn't afraid. They said, let's go to the office and let's discuss. We're at the office and they say, do you want to go live? Or we can easily, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. We can easily pre-record this. I said, absolutely not. My husband always went live. I have nothing to hide. We're fully transparent. What you see is what you get. If I start breaking down on live TV, I break down on live TV. My husband was assassinated.
Let's take time to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. Most definitely double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device and click those 3 dots. There's way too many people and not enough likes. Let's get the likes up, guys. Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new.
He didn't die in a car accident. So we go live. I write all of my own speeches. And when I said that, that is the Holy Spirit that is unleashed. That is a revival that's unleashed. That's not meant for call to violence. That's meant for people to understand that the Lord is moving in ways we have no idea. And God is going to use something so tragic to wake people up to realize that our life is short. He only lived 31 years. 31 years. And so, yes, you have no idea what has been unleashed. But I will promise until my last breath that I will let the Lord use me in ways that he only can to bring glory to him and to the kingdom. And it has been unbelievably powerful. And it's just the beginning.
Erika, one of the most alarming things about Charlie's murder was the way that some people in this country reacted to it.
Yeah.
And not just online. This was kind of,
Here we go,
this
guys.
was an idea that you encountered a lot. And the idea was this.
She's going to
They
see
kind
a
of
straight slug
justified
to
it.
Candace.
They basically said that because Charlie said or believed things that they believed were controversial or even hateful, that he somehow had it coming. What do you say to people who justified his death?
You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that? Tell that to my 3-year-old daughter. Excuse me. You want to watch in high res the video of my husband being murdered and laugh and say he deserves it? There's something very sick in your soul, and I pray that God saves you. I pray, because that is what is so wrong. The internet in this world has dehumanized us. My husband did something very simple. He talked to people. You're going to be murdered for talking to people. He didn't go after people. He went after your ideas. And if you think it's okay to murder someone because you think they had it coming for them because they took the time to have people come to the front of the line if they didn't agree with you, and you think it's okay because you don't like what they say or how they say it, that they should be murdered, and you're enjoying it and you're rejoicing in that, that is evil. Evil. Excuse me.
As you know, and as I know, one of the ideas that has gained a lot of traction among young people, especially in this country, Eric.
Let's take time to get those likes past 100, guys. Double tap that screen. You know, if you're on a mobile device, so click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, guys. Let's get the likes up. Double tap that screen. You know, double tap your screen. Come on now. It's more than enough people to have the likes past 100. Let's double tap our screens if we're on a mobile device, or click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner. Hit that thumbs up. Can we please get the likes up past 100? We got over 500 people in the building. Let's get those likes all the way up. It's easy. If you're saying no to double tapping that screen, you will be removed from the program. You're going to get deported. So if you haven't hit that like button, hit it. Don't be typing in the chat, no, I'm not hitting it, all of that. Because if you do, we're going to get you right up out of here. Moderators, everybody's saying they're not going to double tap the screen to hit the like. Deport them. You know what I'm saying? We'll holler at you.
And this leads them to this kind of justification, is the idea that words themselves are violence. And that brings us tonight to our first audience question. It comes from Angel Eduardo. Angel is a senior writer and editor for the civil libertarian group, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE. And he writes passionately about issues of free speech. Angel.
Thank you, Barry. Excuse me. Erika, my condolences. A recent survey that we took after Charlie's assassination found that 90% of undergraduates believe to some extent that words can be violence. Another FIRE survey that we took earlier also found that 1/3 of surveyed students believe that using violence to stop disfavored speech can be acceptable, at least in rare cases. What's your response to those numbers? And what would you say to those students in particular?
Well, for the people who say that my husband might have incited violence, I know that was not your question, but I'm going to put a squash on it before anyone else can attach to that. My husband never incited violence. He never once said, go after them because they're saying XYZ and they deserve to die. My husband never once said that, and he never would. What did he say? Come to the front of the line. I'll put my mic down. Tell me why you believe that. That's interesting. I never thought of that. But have you thought of this? People heckling, laughing at them. Stop. It took a lot of courage for them to come up here. Stop doing that. He gave them a microphone. He didn't take away a moment for them to speak back. He gave them a microphone. And what they do, they gave him a bullet in the neck.
Sad,
totally
guys.
Different.
Prayers for our family, y'all.
But you have secular revolutionaries that want to come out and say, you can't say that, and I'm going to stop you from saying it. I'm going to... Why? You don't have a conversation. Something as simple as a conversation. And this is what is so fascinating to me. My husband knew that something as simple as having a conversation could change the world. So simple. That is an ancient thing. Come and sit down and have coffee with me. Why do you believe what you believe? 80s and 90s, they were doing this in Congress, then going to have a Subway afterwards. Why don't we do that anymore? Instead, it's violence.
It's crazy, y'all.
Usually one-sided. I'm not going to go there. But you know what's so interesting about my husband's book? The last book he will ever write. It could have been about politics. It could have been about football. It could have been about anything. He was multidimensional. It literally says, stop in the name of God. Stop. Stop the violence. Stop the hate. Have a conversation. Stop. And what he knew in that book was not just so much stop that, take a minute to get off of your phone and realize that we are all human, operating on this broken planet, all sinful, no one's perfect, and we're not getting out of here alive. But what he knew in that book was the balancing factor of communication. You cannot communicate with someone if you're not at peace with yourself. So he went on campus talking to a kid. They're screaming at him. Screaming. Does he scream back? Not once. He sits there. And you know what he's thinking? It's in that book. Maybe you need to take a few hours. Get off your phone. Go for a walk in nature. Go sit and have a coffee. Go and tell your mother you love her. Go do something that is beautiful and healing instead of trying to tear something down that you did not build. That's my thought on that.
We're going to talk about the book in a little bit, but I want to pick up on a theme that you've now hit on twice, which is the idea that the black squares that we all have in our pocket, our phones,
yes,
that they are doing something to us collectively, that they are dehumanizing us. Later, we'll talk about the conspiracies that are spreading right now on those platforms about who killed your husband. What do you recommend to people sitting in this room? What are your
conspiracies, platforms? They most definitely talking to Candace.
Practices to disconnect, to reconnect by disconnecting.
Well, like my husband, I took all of it off my phone.
All social media off your phone?
No, I don't have it on my phone. I have a team that helps run it. I really, everyone has an opinion about me. I could care less. You know what I care about? I care about what my daughter says about me and her running up into my arms and loving on me. That's what I care about.
One of the things that has happened over the 3 months since Charlie was murdered is that people have gone through the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of hours of words he produced. He said more in 31 years than most people will say in a lifetime.
Yes.
And I want to read a few that have captured the most attention, especially on the political left, okay?
Yeah.
Some gun deaths were, quote, unfortunately worth it to preserve the Second Amendment, he said. Acknowledging that he wishes he didn't feel this way, he said, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Ooh-wee, man, she in there with the tough ones. Yeah, what about this stuff that your husband said? You know, sometimes lives have to be lost to protect the Second Amendment. What? You know, I see a black pilot, I feel uncomfortable. What? Oh my goodness. Hey, yeah. Hey, EJ, she hitting her with the tough ones. Hey, these are the tough ones. We need 25 more likes, man. Double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. Or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Ooh-wee, man. They're asking her the right questions.
He said the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. Now, I realize that all of those quotes come from longer conversations that he had on his show.
Correct.
But he did say those things.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie is being memorialized by many people as a person who promoted civil discourse, as a person who said, come to the front of the line, let's have a civil conversation. How do you square that with the statements I just read?
I would love for everyone to be able to watch the full and entire clip of what he said. Charlie didn't care what skin color you were. He didn't care what religion you were. He loved excellence. He loved knowing that people, his favorite word was earn. He loved knowing that people worked hard to earn what they got. He worked so hard to build Turning Point USA. The first statement you meant about guns and shooting, I have no idea the context of that. And I have
Guys, I know y'all locked in. Y'all might as well go ahead and double tap that screen. Get the likes up. We need the likes past 100. We at 87, man. Let's get the likes up. Let's continue to hit that like button. It's 1,000 people in the building. Hit the like. Click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner. Hit the thumbs up. If you're on a mobile device, simply double tap your screen.
no idea what he was, what that whole, there's a lot more there than just that one little sentence. My husband is not to be deteriorated to 2 sentences. He's not. He is a thought leader, and he was brilliant of a man. So that's fine if you want to take words out of his mouth or out of context without the whole thing in perspective. But that's the problem.
Does it bother you that people are picking out those statements and drawing an entire picture of who he was?
Again, that's the problem. You're not having a conversation. You're having a 15-second clip on the internet to define your thought of who someone is, instead of taking the time to educate yourself on truly who that person is, what they thought, because why? They challenged you to think a little different. Again, my husband was an amazing man. We're human. But I do not once, for 1 second, think he was anything else than exceptional.
Erika, as you know, the last person that Charlie ever spoke to was a Utah Valley student named Hunter Kozak. He was asking Charlie a question that day when he was shot, and he's here tonight, and he wants to ask you a question.
Man, oh man.
Hi there.
Oh man, so this is the guy that Charlie was talking to basically when he got hit in the neck, guys. And they got him on the show. This is him right here. He was asking Charlie a question. Now he's going to ask Erika a question. This is the last man that Charlie Kirk ever talked to. That's crazy.
Wants to ask you a question.
Hi there. Erika, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your calls for peace and unity. And I'm likewise horrified by the people in my so-called camp who were cheering about Charlie's murder. I believe that they stoke the flames of violence. But even worse is when powerful, influential people on either side of the aisle stoke the flames. When they do it, the flames can become an inferno. And this leads me to Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth, who has more responsibility than anyone else to put the flames out. Just last month, President Trump called on 6 Democratic lawmakers to be tried for sedition, which he clarified was punishable by death. He then reposted a simple message: hang them. I think that you've been making strides to bring peace to our country, and that Turning Point has been asking Democrats to decry the individuals who cheer for violence. I have and will continue to decry them. But any good faith effort to stop political violence must hold both parties to the same standard and expectation. So in that spirit, will you condemn the violent rhetoric of Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth?
I appreciate your question.
Hitting her with the tough questions, guys.
You know my heart. Why would I ever say, yes, go murder people? This is so much deeper than just one. I understand your sentiment. I do. But this is also so much deeper than just one person. This starts at the home, okay? This starts with family. This starts with a seed that grows and grows. You can choose to have evil in your heart, or you can choose to have light. What you consume and what you absorb from the outside world will manifest itself. No, I will never agree with political violence. My husband is a victim of it. I'm a victim of it. But what I'm trying to say here is that we can blame...
Let's make sure we subscribing to the channel if we're new, guys.
...everyone else. We have to look in the mirror. When you become a father, when you become a mother, how are you raising your kids? Are you taking responsibility, or are you giving them a device and saying, go down that rabbit hole? I'm trying to go to Pilates class. You can just sit in the corner and look at your iPad or look at your phone and go down that rabbit hole and see what you can learn from that instead of being a parent.
She's most definitely
Charlie's wife. So my call to
wife.
action from that is, parents, step up. Do you want your kid to be a thought leader or an assassin? That's where we're at.
Do you think our political leaders have a responsibility to turn the temperature down right now?
Well, I think everyone has a responsibility to do that, and I'm doing my part. I'm not in control of other people.
Okay. Ahead, a father whose daughter was murdered in cold
crazy,
blood.
Y'all.
And
Never have been so popular on these college campuses.
Welcome back to our CBS News Town Hall with Erika Kirk. Bob Milgram is the father of Sarah Milgram. Sarah was fatally shot last May outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., alongside Yaron Lashinsky, her boyfriend. Sarah was just 26 years old when she was killed. Bob, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Barry. Hello, Erika. Just as our family could not anticipate the pain we've been going through following the murder of our daughter, Sarah, there's no way I can understand the pain that you and your children are going through as a result of Charlie's tragic death. Our daughter was killed because of anti-Semitism, hate against Jews, and hate against the Jewish homeland, Israel. We know about the growth of anti-Semitism on the left, including here in New York City, where the mayor-elect still will not condemn the phrase, globalize the infantata. What I want you to address is growing anti-Semitism on the right, including Holocaust denial, anti-Zionism, and the normalizing of centuries-old conspiracy theories about Jews. Will you here condemn the individuals spreading that hate and speak out clearly enough against anti-Semitism so we can prevent another tragedy?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'm so sorry. You and I are a part of a very small club. Painful. But you're in good company, and I will pray for you.
Sucks, doesn't it?
This is crazy.
Hate is hate. It's evil. Charlie and I have always been very clear on our stance. Israel and Jewish people. It's awful. Awful. Anti-Semitism is what healing factor comes out of hating Jewish people? What healing factor comes out of hating Christians? What healing factor comes out? Hate in general. Nothing. Nothing. Charlie always would say very clearly, Jew hate was brain rot. He would always say it. We've been to Israel twice together. And to be able to walk in the place where our Lord walked and see the Bible come to life in Technicolor, how could you hate that place? How could you hate the Jewish people? Why? Because you need to fulfill a conspiracy theory? I'm wrapped in, people say I'm a part of conspiracy theories all the time.
Another shot at Candace.
It's sick. And it needs to stop. We are human. No one is perfect. No Christian is perfect. No Jew is perfect. No Muslim is perfect. We are broken, sinful humans in need of a Lord and Savior. And that's why it is so important to give your life to the Lord. Because once you do that and you fully surrender to the Lord, you have no room in your heart for hate. And so, sir, I am so sorry what happened to your daughter. I pray that does not happen. And I pray that that is something that we can somehow extinguish in this world. But we are living in enemy-occupied territory. And every single day we need to guard ourselves, guard our minds, guard our heart. And the best way to do that is reading God's word. And you cannot separate the Old Testament from the New Testament. You cannot. You cannot.
Bob, do you want to ask a follow-up?
Is there anything specific that Turning Point can do to combat anti-Semitism?
Yeah, so we're all of our college campus and high school campuses, we have these conversations. And our students understand exactly my heart and Charlie's heart and the sentiment of everything I just said. We have Shabbat dinner happening at AmFest. We have individuals in our chapters who are Jewish. We have people that are going to be having booths. We have an exhibit hall at AmFest that are Jewish, that have Jewish organizations.
Let's take time to double tap that screen, guys. Double tap the screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. That's how you hit the like button. It helps out the channel, or I wouldn't keep on asking you to do it. Let's double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up if you're on a mobile device. So click those three dots, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new.
The only way to combat evil, just like Charlie did, is with dialogue and not being afraid to do it. If you have these things that are being said, you need to counter it with the truth. And if you don't, there's a void and a vacuum. And so even though they're a small number, they get louder and louder. So we need to do our best, which we're doing our part. We're going to continue to do our part to make sure that the truth is always heard. We'll amplify it even more. And we're going to do the best we can, but we need the whole community. We need everyone in on that.
Bob, thank you so much. I want to talk about discernment.
Yes.
Okay, being able to separate truth from lies, reality from unreality. A 22-year-old man named Tyler Robinson has been arrested and charged with the murder of your husband. And yet there are a huge number of conspiracy theories, you might call them brain rot, that are spreading right now online about the actual story behind the reality. One, people say that Tyler Robinson was actually a MAGA Republican, Or two, some people say you were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me, and you were Charlie's handler, and Israel killed Charlie.
Wow.
Right. Other people say that a number of men in the crowd were wearing maroon t-shirts, and this signifies that his killing was an elite airborne operation, whatever that means.
See, there go the conspiracy theories, guys. Now understand, they just brought up Tyler Robinson, who was the unaliver of Charlie, guys. He actually laughed in court. Check this out.
Accused of murdering Charlie Kirk, laughing with his attorneys before court as he sits in a Utah County courtroom for the very first time for a hearing related to his murder case. And he's in street clothes as Charlie Kirk's widow fires back at conspiracy theorists, cashing in on her husband's murder.
I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there.
I take a look at the very latest in the case, what we know about Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, and how Robinson's attorneys are borrowing a page from another high-profile case's playbook.
Absolutely, man. We got it all.
Took the life of conservative activist and commentator Charlie Kirk in an instant on the campus of Utah Valley University. Charlie Kirk was only 31 years old, a husband and a father to 2 young children, known for going to college campuses to challenge college students, inviting them up to an open mic to discuss ideas. Not everyone agreed with Charlie Kirk, but he was willing to engage. After a 33-hour manhunt, officials announced that 22-year-old Tyler Robinson had been taken into custody.
Robinson's mother explained that over
Do
the...
y'all believe this is the right guy? Let me know, man. We got everything over here. Make sure you double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. Most definitely double tap that screen. That was just to show y'all who Tyler Robinson is. We'll get back to him in a second. Let's go back over here to Erika in her interview.
They say that the rings on your fingers, which are
my kids'
initials,
my wedding band, the Medal of Freedom, my engagement ring.
But apparently they symbolize some kind of secret plot. There's also a new theory that Egyptian aircraft have been tracking you.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on? Why are there so many conspiracies spreading about what seems to be a pretty open and shut case?
This is the first time that we have seen evil on display where we have social media at our fingertips. Something so evil that happened, people are wanting answers immediately. They are wanting to figure out how to wrap their mind around this. Egyptian planes.
Egyptian planes. Do you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many people to believe that reality?
Because it's too simple. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together. I've been in constant contact with our lawyers, the prosecuting team. I've seen it all. And let me tell you this. Why in the world... Why should we, prior to the trial, lay all of our hands and cards on the table for the defense team to see, to somehow then, I don't even know what they would do with it. But what I will say, and I want to get on the Egyptian plane thing, we'll take a flight on that for a second. What I will say is what I'm worried about, and I'm fascinated, just from a legal standpoint, to see how the United Healthcare trial pans out. And I say that because this is the first time where we are seeing the implications.
You're talking about Luigi Mangione.
Correct. I prefer never to say any of their names. They do not even deserve the ounce of oxygen and breath out of my body. But what I mean is it's fascinating to see how social media will impact that court case, just how it might impact mine.
Are you nervous he's not going to get a fair trial?
I'm nervous that there could be, they'll say we can't find a fair jury. Like they're going to taint the jury pool. And in that case.
That's how widespread you think these conspiracies have gone.
Y'all hear what she said?
Jury. Like,
that's what she's afraid of.
That there could be, they'll say we can't find a fair jury. Like they're going to taint the jury pool. And in that case.
She worried about them tainting the jury pool.
Fair jury. Like they're going to taint the jury pool. And in that case,
look at her face. Oh, wow.
That's how widespread you think these conspiracies have gone.
Yes.
That's how mainstream they become. Okay.
Egyptian planes.
You
We'll
want to talk
have
about
that one?
Egyptian planes?
Okay.
Don't they always try to find a fair jury? I'm just saying, like, yeah, man, taint the jury pool. Okay.
I was pregnant for
The jury
90% of
pool
those
been
trips.
tainted.
Mind you, I've never, all those places they said I've traveled, I've never been. I mean, I've been, but I'm not within those states that they've.
But you even said you need to.
No, but this is, yeah, but I do on that one, only because, from a humor standpoint, I intentionally, when I was pregnant, hid. Not because I was embarrassed, not because I didn't want anyone. Yes, we did keep it very private, but it's because it was a moment very sacred. I was growing a human inside of me, my baby. The world that Charlie and I live in is very toxic at times.
Yeah.
And when you are growing a beautiful child in you, I don't want to be around it. I want to enjoy eating my In-N-Out burger and my hot fudge sundae. That's what I want to do. I'm pregnant and I have 9 months to own it. You really think I'm going to be on an Egyptian plane while I am wanting to be with my In-N-Out burger and my chocolate milkshake? No, I'm not. So if you want to go through my flight log, go right ahead. It's very boring. You say I was here on this date. I have a photo in my phone to prove that I actually was in the hospital because I was having contractions. So game on.
The podcaster Candace Owens.
Okay? Candace
At
by
one
name.
time, a friend of Charlie's. At one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say
Candace by
to
name.
her
Let's go.
and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Okay. The next question comes from
That's
a person
what you
who may
want to
be
say to Candace.
right now.
Stop. That's it.
That's it.
That's all I have. Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's it. Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, so basically, hey, what she has to say to Candace is Candace needs to stop. They say she's making an insane amount of money, off the Charlie Kirk situation. Hold on, let's get messy for a second. What does Candace have to say about all this? That's all I'm saying. What does Candace? You know what I'm saying? What did Candace say? Let's see.
I will be very honest. I am in a bit of a mood today. I am just annoyed with everybody. I'm annoyed with this entire psychological operation that is so obvious. And I just feel like we keep going round and round in a circle with the government, whether it's COVID, the Ukraine war, it's like the entire media apparatus and establishment is joining hands to condemn people for having common sense. So I'll ask you a question to begin this. Do you feel, show of hands, okay, that the answer regarding who killed Charlie Kirk and what happened on September 10th is quote unquote very clear? Objectively. Like, even if you are somebody who is on the side of those who do believe that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger one way or another, would you ever describe what happened as quote unquote very clear? I'm guessing your answer to that would be no. I am asking you that because Erika Kirk believes it to be so. And I guess this is kind of the final stop. I'm hoping it's the final stop of this PR campaign where they are now pivoting and bringing Erika out to signal to the public that we can't question her judgment, right? Because she's a widow, we can't question her judgment. And I want to say that I reject that. I reject emotional manipulation. I want to give people at home the permission to avoid a trap of thinking that you have to arrive at the same conclusions as Erika Kirk, especially when the story that we have been presented thus far makes little sense, if any sense. It makes, I think, virtually no sense. To that end, later on in the show, we will discuss Tyler Robinson, who has now made his first in-person appearance in court. And I guess the good news there is that we know he exists. Welcome back to Candace.
So Erica says she want Candace to stop. Candace say she don't have to think. Everybody doesn't have to think the same way as Erica.
Okay. The next.
We gonna get back to Candace.
That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Okay. The next question comes from a person who may be familiar to you, Erica.
We gonna get right back to
interviewed him for his show last August. Rob Henderson, to you.
Thank you, Barry, and thank you, Erica. During that discussion with Charlie, neither of us knew that was going to be the last long-form interview he would ever conduct, because his life was cut short by the actions of a very disturbed young man. As someone who admired Charlie's ability to offer young people a productive and optimistic path, I wanted to ask, how should the conservative movement think about cultivating leaders and role models for young men, and how can it continue offering them a constructive alternative to the toxic currents Charlie so astutely criticized?
It's a great question. First of all, your interview was amazing. It's one of my favorite ones to look back on. Charlie connected with you very well. And I can always tell when he does on his show. I've always watched his show. And I could always tell because his questions and his engagement would shift. And he always loved that conversation with you. As the CEO of Turning Point USA, it is my responsibility to make sure that our youth is in good hands. Our chapter leaders are amazing. And there's some leaders within those groups you guys have not even seen or heard about yet, but you will one day, and you'll be blown away because they are amazing kids. We had 2 of them at our gala event this weekend, and they spoke in front of our donors.
I said that Erica had been doing a lot of popping up, guys. Candace say this is a PR run. You know, this is trying to get sympathy from the people and making them think that they have to think like Erica. You know, Erica wants Candace to stop. I don't think Candace is gonna stop. We're gonna see in a second.
It's the first time I ever met them. Phenomenal kids. Not only are they smart, they have a heart. Not only do they have a heart, they can understand and see the Gen Z landscape in a way that we can't. And from a peer-to-peer communication level, they're phenomenal. So I personally, having a front row seat to the rising generation, the courageous generation, they're amazing. Yes, there are bad apples. Millennials, we got them too. So do the baby boomers. So does Gen X. No one's escaping the bad apples. It's just the batch. But it is our responsibility, my responsibility, our team's responsibility to make sure that our chapters are cultivating those leaders. So when they leave high school and they decide not to go to college, they're in the workforce being incredible people and incredible leaders. They might not be influencers. Not everyone's meant to. Everyone plays a very specific role. But they'll be someone in something very important, and they'll plant seeds. And that's all you have to do, is plant the seed. And then let truth grow from there. But thank you again for the time that you spent with my husband on that final conversation. It meant a lot to him. It means a lot to me to be able to have that to show my babies one day.
What made Charlie so passionate about this subject?
He was on the verge of burnout, and he thought to himself, what can I be doing? And he always loved the 10 Commandments. And then he saw it, honoring the Sabbath. And he realized that if you don't, this one commandment, this one, if you don't honor it, you're the one who misses out on the gift, not God.
Are you keeping it?
I'm trying my best.
Is it helping?
It is. I feel close to him. I break it apart, though. So instead of a full 24 straight, I'll break it apart only because my mom's sick and I need to be available because I'm her medical power of attorney. So I need to be available if something happens. And so I I make it what works for me. But that's what was so beautiful about that. Charlie wasn't legalistic about it. He's like, make it your own.
Erika, you've made a lot of comments that a lot of people have noticed about women, suggesting, you know this, right? Suggesting that women should get married young, that they should have children young, that they should prioritize family over their careers. And at the same time, you are now doing both. You now have 2 young children, I think both under the age of 3. And you're the CEO and chairwoman of Turning Point. Square that for us. Right. Some people look at you and say, you know, she's trying to make it a binary choice. You can be the trad wife or the girl boss, but look at her. She's having both. What do you say to them?
Right. Well, I didn't ask for this. Obviously it's a blessing that I view it as a blessing. It's a duty to my husband. But I was very happy being a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing wrong with being a mother. There's actually more beautiful and emotional and powerful job title, if you will, being a mother. And for me, I experienced what it was like living in New York, living that boss babe culture. But when I met Charlie and we had our babies, I was in it. That was all hands on deck. I would take that world in a heartbeat. Always. But you know what? There was never any daylight between Charlie and I, and his mission was my mission. So stepping into this role is not so much a job title. This is not a 9-to-5 for me. This is something that I'm very passionate about because it's still a remaining breathing version of my husband, this Turning Point USA. So this organization is not just a company to me. And the staff and employees are not staff and employees, they're family. And so for me, it's a lot different and a lot deeper than a career. This is very personal. But yes, it is hard. But at the same day, it takes a village, and I have one heck of a village.
We have a woman here that has a question perfectly calibrated to this part of our conversation. Yeah. I want to hand it over to Isabella Reggi.
Thank you. And Erika, you and your family are in my prayers.
Thank you.
I'm a 26-year-old Christian woman living in New York City. I would like to stay here long term, but I wonder whether it's sustainable. Do you believe there's a place for women like myself in modern cities who care about having a career, but also marrying a like-minded Christian conservative man?
Well, yeah. So it just depends on where you're looking. You know, if you're on the apps, I don't know if you're on the apps. I don't know if, I'm not going to ask you your personal journey. But what I will say is when I lived out here, I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than going, I don't drink. I find it unproductive, not because I'm holier than whatever. I just don't operate that way. But I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another. So it goes twofold here. So if you're expecting to marry someone that I was blessed with, like a Charlie, you have to be the type of woman that will attract a Charlie. Are you going to church? Are you going to Bible study? Did you tell your pastor that you are ready for the Lord to bring into your life the man that you've been praying for? You yourself need to be prepared for that man, and only you will know how to do that. Does that mean staying out and going out with the girls? I'm not saying you sit on your couch and all of a sudden he's going to knock on your door and be like, honey, let's rendezvous. Like, that's not how it happens. It's not. Granted, my situation was a little different. I went to it. You went to a job interview. Literally. So this is how good the Lord is. He knew that because I was not dating in New York City, he knew that in order for me to know that that was my man, he had to blanket Charlie as a job interview. Because if that went in, no joke, if he came to me and said, hey, let's go on a date to Bill's Burgers, I'd be like, I am so sorry. Thank you, but no, we're not doing this. That was my mind. I was not in that headspace. I just wasn't. But God will work in incredible ways when you surrender the pen for him to write your love story. And when you know that, look, if I remain in the jet stream of God's will, he will provide for me in ways I cannot even imagine. And that is my prayer for you. My prayer for you is to remain open and to remain prayerful and to let people around you know, old school style, I'm ready and I'm looking to get married and having a family. You can always have your career. Being able to have a family truly is a very limited, short window. You can start your career. If you have people and it's amazing business, have other people run it. You can still manage it. You can still pour into it, but you have your babies. And then once your babies are grown and the nest is empty, go back to your career. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't have a career, you have your babies, the Lord's going to inspire something inside of you that you're like, you know what? There's a problem. I have a solution. How many baby companies have been born out of moms? You know, like the little carrier seat or a stroller. Or
we live for that carrier seat.
Right, 100%. I'm not trying to plug them for like something, so I'm just trying not to even say the name, but you understand my sentiment is that there's something really special and beautiful about making sure that you are the woman that your future husband deserves and vice versa. Do not settle.
Thank you. Thanks, Isabella. Up next, the emotional moment that Erika Kirk forgave her husband's alleged murderer. Stay with us.
What Christ did and is what Charlie would do.
Erika, that moment that we just watched was unforgettable. I was one of millions of people across the world that watched you get up on that stage and forgive the man who murdered your husband. And I think a lot of people looked at it and thought, this is incomprehensible. It's almost baffling. And I want you to speak to those who are unable to understand, really, that act of grace. How is it possible that you can forgive the person that murdered your husband?
I'm not forgetting what he did. I'm not condoning what he did. What he did is sick and evil. So sick and evil. What I am doing is releasing myself from the enemy's hands, where he could have a foothold in me, and he could be able to just, like I said earlier, you have a choice. Am I going to take that moment? And I will never say anything I don't mean. I really prayed on that moment. That was a game time decision. I'll never say what I don't mean. But am I going to take that moment to say, rally the troops, burn the city down, march in the streets? Or am I going to take that moment and unleash something like we talked about, even greater, more powerful, and say, it's a revival? And let that unleash and let the Lord use it in ways that no one else could have ever imagined.
If you were to meet the man, I won't name him again,
Tyler Robinson,
accused of murdering your husband, do you know what you would say to him?
Nothing.
You would say nothing.
She would say nothing,
I have
guys.
nothing to say to you. Nothing.
She ain't forget that dude.
Is there a difference, Erika, between
in my
forgiving
opinion,
someone
and
in
I
a
don't blame
religious
her,
and spiritual sense, but also wanting justice for them here on earth?
No, of course. But we serve a just God. And I rest easy in knowing that. He's sovereign, but he's just. And so let the Lord handle that.
I want to bring in our final audience question for tonight. I want to turn it over to Joe Lavoie.
Hi, thank you.
Let's get
Your
past
faith in this
Joe.
process
I
has been
don't wanna hear
inspiring, and that inspires this
She
question.
said final, but that wasn't the final.
How are you able to trust God amidst unfair and immense suffering?
One of my favorite books in the Bible is the book of Job.
She said final, but she lied. You know, that most definitely wasn't the final one. If you want to see the final one, you know what I'm saying, go check out Town Hall Meeting with Erika Kirk, you know, on CBS, man. You know, it's a lot of details in there. But, you know, that's basically what she had to say involving Tyler, who is suspected of unaliving her husband, Charlie. She said she would say nothing to him. You know what I'm saying? If she was to meet him again, she'll say nothing to him, right? And we also heard what she had to say to Candace Owens about the conspiracy theories and making money off her husband's name. She told her to stop Well, Candace responded, you know what I'm saying, in Candace fashion. Let's see let's see how exactly Candace feels about all of this. Let's go.
Let's just start with the talking points. Let's join the members of the press and the influencers, okay? Here's what we're saying. Let's be influenced. Talking points. There's a bigger mission at bay. We need to focus on a larger, bigger mission. Another talking point. It's going to ruin the trial. If you guys keep thinking that things don't make sense, you could ruin the case.
That's what Erika said, you know, with tainting the jury pool by putting all this your theories, your feelings about it in front of what the police are saying, basically, and what she's saying, you know, could basically taint the jury pool with what Candace is doing by throwing out her own ideas about what happened to Charlie.
And the final stop, of course, in these talking points is this is an illness, right? There is something wrong with you at home if you don't find what we are telling you to be true. Trust us, okay? You're mentally unwell. What we are looking at right now is a badly run PR campaign. I am saying that it is badly run because
she's talking about all these appearances that Erika's been doing. She's been on every news channel you can think of. And I covered her when she be there, but she has been out speaking a lot on her husband's book. Let's not forget that Charlie just dropped a book.
It's recognizable. A good PR campaign is not recognizable. A bad PR campaign is an obvious one. And I am going to request respectfully, I know it's not going to be honored, I'm going to respectfully request that all of these Agent Smiths in this obvious matrix just stop, okay? This PR campaign,
y'all heard you heard what y'all remember Erika told Candace, just stop. So Candace say with this ridiculous PR, she's gonna ask respectfully that they just stop. Oh my goodness.
It's been nonstop since Charlie was shot. It was honestly dead on arrival, okay? We do not trust this, we do not believe this, and yet we are wildly kind of in this position where they're testing to see how many times they can say the same thing before they convince everybody else at home that it's true, okay? Their equation that they seem to be running, if it's that formula, is talking points multiplied by 10,000 talking heads must equal results, okay? They believe that with enough of an echo, they can override basic human instinct, basic intellect, really. There is, I would like to be very clear, nothing that feels right to me about the Charlie Kirk assassination, and especially the way that some of his employees and friends have been behaving since that assassination. And I'll preface this with, I am very sorry if that offends you, Erika. Genuinely, I am sorry that there is no amount of increase in pressure and propaganda and headlines written about me that are going to convince me. And by the way, I'm just the conduit, right? You're attacking me, but you're angry that also the masses have not accepted this. There's not a number that is going to convince the masses that his...
Candace says she's being attacked, guys. Listen to the wordplay. Lord, have mercy.
Human neck, stopped a 30-06 bullet, okay? And not even just stop the bullet. I also want to be clear here. It's not just that they're saying that it ricocheted and it stopped, and this would maybe be the first time in human history. And please, if you do know a story, you've got an old article, I don't care where it's from, if you saved a newspaper article from the early 1900s in your family of an example, I don't think that bullet existed then, but like of a 30-06 being stopped by a human neck, please present it. I'd like to show that it is possible, right? It is actually, this happened one...
Candace is breaking down everything we just watched Erika say when it comes to the situation with her husband. You know, man, this is crazy, man. Candace is most definitely not stopping. She's mashing the gas.
Time down in Texas, it's possible. But not only are they saying that they stopped it, but I want to remind you that there was minimal damage to the front of Charlie's neck as well, okay? There was minimal damage to the front of Charlie's neck as well. So it didn't even cause...
Remember when Erika said, oh, and you want to see it in 4K. You want to see my husband, get unalived in 4K. You want to watch it. Remember she said that? She was talking to Candace. Listen to what Candace is saying. Oh, yeah, well, it's no way the bullet could have did this and did that. And I do remember her asking about the cameras that were in the back of the tent, that a lot of people been asking about that have never surfaced.
A lot of, point. Damage as it went in. It just cleanly went in and then ricocheted downward into his stomach. I'm frustrated, obviously, for a lot of reasons, but Erika's that's now being teased, the interview with Barry Weiss, it's being termed a town hall. And Barry is obviously just a Tel Aviv agent. Her entire background story, her rise, her studying in Tel Aviv, her family.
So that's why we had to watch it, so we can get a full understanding of what Candace is talking about. I showed y'all the town hall. Now this is Candace's response.
Family ties, the hand of Midas pulling her through the ranks a la Jeffrey Epstein. Despite her sub-average intelligence, she's not interesting. She somehow becomes a chief over at CBS News. Right? This actually, what I'm saying about Barry Weiss, this gets into Tucker's quote-unquote problematic speech at SAS when he jumped on stage and basically asked that question. Travis? How are all of these subpar people becoming billionaires? The rest of us have to work forever. They're not interesting. They're not talented. And they just seemingly are just getting all of this money and opportunities offered to them. This is clearly not a meritocracy that we're living under. Do
y'all think that Candace is in this just to make money because of the amount of money that she's making? Let's not cap. Her views have went way up since this situation has been going on. I'm not saying that she is. Don't get it twisted. I'm asking y'all. Do y'all really, because she knew Charlie in real life too. But she's really stepping on the what do you call the request from the wife to stop speaking on this situation, at least with the conspiracies or what she thinks. Is it about money or is it about justice? What do y'all think?
It's more like, and I'm saying this, more like a cartel. Okay, Barry Weiss is actually one of the people that we should study when it comes to being unimpressive and just getting handouts anyways. It's like welfare. I feel like she's on welfare. Like we all have to work and she gets promoted. And
all right, EJ says, I don't think that she came. Hold on. I think she probably didn't go in for the money, but when the views came, she definitely stepped on the gas for the money. All right, that's how you feel about it. Erika and Charlie were best friends. That's somebody there. She's just trying to stay truthful. I think she is trying to stay relevant. She is. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we got mixed emotions down there, man. Mixed emotions. Let's go.
She's going to be unimpressive in this clip because that's her default. She can't even convincingly ask the prepared, loaded question that she is going to deliver to Erika. And this question, like I said, has likely, by the way, been reviewed and marked up by lawyers, but she still is not even convincing, despite having it ahead of time in this delivery. Take a listen.
The podcaster Candace Owens.
Uh-oh.
Okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's. At one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out
This is Candace's response, guys.
into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
So this is just to me, but I'll also let you know, they pre-recorded this. Obviously, I told you this yesterday. To me.
Oh, man. Messy.
That's it. Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
So this is just to me. I'm going to also let you know, they pre-recorded this. Obviously, I told you this yesterday from about 11 o'clock to 4 p.m. I have sources just everywhere, CBS News, the people that were in the audience I showed you were emailing me, and they had to do multiple takes because Barry wanted to read a prompter. These questions were pre-submitted, okay? And I would like to respond to this loaded question. What would you like to say? The podcaster Candace Owens, and I'm not even going to address this repeat talking point about people making money, except for the people that have actually made off of all of the money, millions upon millions of dollars. But this is the new thing. It's like, if you keep doing what you were already doing in podcasting, or keep doing what you were already doing and doing ballistics on YouTube, if you catch a bunch of views, they want to convince you that like you wake up and you turn into a millionaire. Building her business. What are you talking about? I already had this business. I was already at the top of the charts. Okay, I said I wasn't going to talk about it. I actually did, because it's so ridiculous. Okay. But she says, I'm lying. And Erika responds, and her answer to what do you want to say to the podcaster Candace Owens, who is lying, is stop. So Erika would like me to stop lying. And I would like to honor that. Okay. I can only honor that if Erika is more.
Can we take, you know what I'm saying, time to double tap that screen, guys? Get the likes up. Double tap the screen if you're on a mobile device, and click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. Candace Owens is about to get her stuff off, man. You know, she's heard loud and clear what Erika Kirk, you know, had to say, telling her to stop with all this Charlie conspiracy. She don't like it. Candace is most definitely standing her ground. Basically, in my opinion, says she gonna keep going. Ain't no stopping. Foot on the gas, full speed ahead, man. I'm just saying, man. Let's get the likes over 300. Double tap that screen, guys. You know what I'm saying? So we can get the video back playing. This is most definitely interesting, man. Erika and Candace are most definitely at it. A cat fight, you know, if I ever seen one, right in front of our eyes, man. You know, Erika says she's fighting for the legacy of her husband. Tell Candace to stop tainting the jury pool. And Candace is like, man, look, I'm finna keep mashing the gas on this entire situation. I don't care what you say. That's what it sound like to me, man. Shout out to Meso Bless says Candace loves the truth. She is a mother and wife, putting herself at risk to put this information out. It's not about money. Okay, I bet. Shout out to you. Let's go.
In terms of what I have lied about.
Oh yeah, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, man. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Candace says she want Erika to tell her what exactly it is that she done lied about. Remember, they're gonna have a private meeting. They're meeting face to face.
Erika is more explicit in terms of what I have lied about. What did I lie about? It's just incredible. There have this opportunity. The questions have been before. You could just start like going through them. Maybe they will. By the way, it's coming out on Saturday. Maybe I've made a mistake somewhere, and I'm happy. I want to correct that. Right? I'm not interested. My goal is not to tell lies. It is obviously plausible that I have made mistakes. I've reviewed these lists that we've put together, and I can't find the lie. Okay, the lies that I find are coming out of Turning Point USA. Okay. And here are some of those lies.
The lies that she is finding. Here goes some of those lies. Those lies that she found. You know, so you can see it on the screen real good in case you want to read them. Shout out to Dino for that too. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. All right. So yeah, man. These are some of the lies that Candace says that she has found with Turning Point USA. Yeah, she got her receipts. She got her facts on the wall. She say, yeah, you want to talk? This could potentially be what we're talking about. Tell me why y'all lied. I'm just saying.
You know, Mikey had blood all over him. Okay, Mikey has offered that his dad was confused. I'll accept that. Well, I didn't lie about that. Rob McCoy lied. His father also said he called his father first. Maybe Rob McCoy was confused. Mikey being a hero for walking away doesn't feel honest. Charlie's neck stopping a 30-06 bullet because he ate healthy and had strong bones. It was a modern day Christian miracle. That feels like a pretty big lie. Okay. Charlie never wavered in his support for Israel was a nasty lie. Maybe Barry want to, like, what do you want to say to the people that literally lied about what Charlie was living through in the last weeks of his life? Stop, Josh Hammer. Stop even Netanyahu. No,
that's
I'm sorry. We're not going to get to that. Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. Did I lie about that? Nope. Turning Point USA lied about that, and I was attacked for telling me I'm attacked for catching the lies. We'll get to that later. That's their new method. Once I
what do you mean is this live? This is most definitely live, my guy. What does it matter if it wasn't live either? If you like it, you like it. It doesn't matter if it's live or not. Why you asked if it's live, guy?
First they accuse me of lying, then I prove I'm not lying, and then their strategy is to attack me for telling the truth and saying, how dare you reveal a personal text message to defend yourself from being called a liar. We can keep going here. Has any of this been clarified? Ben Shapiro said they never had any bad blood.
So since they've called her a liar, she's made a list of all the laws she found coming from them, and she's reading them aloud.
Between them, I proved that was not true. Again, that also came from a little PR, Alex Clark pulling that move. Next page, Terrell Farnsworth was told to remove that SD card by police. That was not true. Terrell Farnsworth personally told me that was not true. Terrell removed the SD cards because people were stealing hats. Again, not what Terrell Farnsworth himself told me. And also doesn't make any logical sense, because if you were worried about theft, you would have taken the cameras and not just the SD card, particularly from the camera behind his head, as opposed to the cameras that were in front of him. Lie. Charlie established a Doge and it was not unusual. That's a lie. It was unusual. Doge didn't even exist prior to Elon Musk making that a thing about government accountability. Charlie Kirk's team did not fly drones. Major lie. Brian Harpole told that lie. Brian Harpole also told a major lie when he said that the security had communicated with UVU police to secure those roofs.
She say, where are her lies? She's pointing out all of theirs. She said, well, I will stop when they basically stop lying. And she has, like I said, made a list, guys, of all the lies they have said. Potentially, this probably what her and Erika are going to talk about in their private meeting.
Rooftops. That was a lie. It was actually the walkway behind. What am I getting here? What have I done here in this presentation that I lied about? Have I made mistakes along the way? Yes, I'm not perfect, and I will always adjust those mistakes. So I'm asking you to tell me what I lied about. Why is there not this same energy also for the feds? Because they told some lies. We got a list of those too. We put that together.
She done made a list of the federal lies. Lord, how mercy. Candace is on fire, guys. Yeah, she calling everybody out. Yeah, she done made a list of Turning Point USA lies, a list of the feds lies. Lord, she is playing a dangerous game. Not a dirty one, but a dangerous one. Lord, how mercy.
We would like some clarity. Again, Charlie being shot with a .30-06. The lover text messages, mysterious, presented without any timestamps.
Y'all see what it say? Fed lies and oddities. So let's talk about it.
Lying about how Tyler Robinson was arrested. They claim that he confessed and turned himself in. That's not what happened. That he said he was guilty. All of his, father said he was guilty. That's not what happened. Never revealed that Tyler Robinson was at the Dairy Queen following the assassination. He was throwing clothes away, as I presented to you guys, in the cemetery. That's problematic to the timeline. We'd like some clarity. That's an oddity. They said Tyler Robinson was arrested wearing a maroon shirt. That actually was also not true. They said Tyler Robinson was suicidal, but also turned himself in because he was afraid of being shot by police.
Hold on, Candace. Hold on. Let's see what kind of evidence they really got against Tyler. Let's go.
All right, so the court going into closed session now, where they take up whether or not they should release portions of an audio transcription of a hearing that took place on October the 14th, and then a written transcription of the hearing on October the 24th, both of which have been under seal, which, Sandra, leads to a lot of what people are complaining about, and that is after we had the avalanche of information about the arrest of Tyler Robinson, everything else seems to be under a blanket of secrecy.
A blanket of secrecy? What?
In our panel now, Josh, Donna, and Jonathan. Donna, your thoughts as you've been covering this from the very beginning on what has transpired so far, and sort of bring our viewers along with what's happening right now.
Well, I think right now what we're seeing is this kind of push and pull between what is going to be weighed as more important. Is the judge going to rule that the transparency of the public and media and everyone knowing what's going on there going to outweigh what potentially may be a risk to Mr. Robinson getting a fair trial? I do think that in our world today, and I've said
a risk with Mr. Robinson getting a fair trial, tainted jury pool. Remember, Y'all follow me. If you've been here the whole time, notice why I highlight certain points. His wife, Erika, said that her biggest fear was the trial not going right due to a tainted jury pool. Then you hear the news basically say the same thing. What is going on?
Often, the court system and our laws don't really keep up with technology and media and things that are happening very fast. And it's really difficult to be able to weigh those things out to determine whether or not Mr. Robinson will be able to get a fair trial if certain pieces of information
What's up, A-Dub? Appreciate
are revealed to the public, as we're now seeing in Mangione as well, that those are issues that are being brought to the court's attention. So I think the court's job is to make sure that they allow for as much transparency as possible and give Mr. Robinson the ability for his due process and to have a fair trial and to be able to find a jury pool that will be able to be fair.
The jury pool, guys, they're steady talking about the jury pool, see?
Forward. Now, anything that they're going to bring out at these hearings most likely is going to be evidence in a trial that a jury would hear. Of course, if there's motions to suppress that evidence, that may raise this issue again before the court. But I do think that the court is going to take it seriously, and I do think he will err on being more transparent than not.
I thought it was interesting that Judge Graff ruled that members of Tyler Robinson's family would not be allowed to stay in the courtroom during this hearing into what will be released. Brett Tolman, who's with us, and we'll see him in just a little while, said, well, that could be potentially because some of the family members may be called as witnesses. And Josh, if they were privy to everything that was aired in those hearings, what could the potential effect of that be?
Yeah, that's always a concern. You want to make sure that whoever's present in the courtroom isn't potentially going to be a witness later on, and it might
probably
cloud
after
their
this,
testimony. But the other thing I think we're learning about this judge is it's remarkable to me, every time we've seen him in court, how conscientious he is, how deliberate he is. He always seems to have his remarks prepared. And I think that we see the same thing today in the way that he introduced what they're going to talk about today, and how deliberative he is about all of this. And as far as this first hearing, I think the concern is primarily about courtroom security. That's why it was put under seal originally, and why the transcripts and the recordings have not been released, because it has to do with courtroom security. I could see him keeping that under seal because of that reason, because it doesn't really have to do with the facts and circumstances of the case. But I agree with Donna that I'm hoping today, and I think it might be an indication by the judge allowing for him to dress down in civilian clothing and not have cameras picture him shackled, that is an indication that he will lean towards allowing cameras in courtroom, because I think the transparency of this case is so important. We saw in the lead up to this hearing, Erika Kirk talking about conspiracy theories and misinformation that is out there.
Oh,
and the
they
best way
just
to find
said
that
Erika.
is allow cameras in the courtroom so people can see exactly how justice is being served.
Jonathan, your thoughts on what has transpired so far?
Well, I think that Judge Graff is handling this exactly as he had to. Many of us have been advocates for greater television coverage within these courtrooms for literally decades. And the rule against it is rather dated. Now, it's true that in these preliminary hearings, we expect that much of those hearings is going to be redacted. The cameras will be turned off. If you're talking about the suppression of evidence, you're probably not going to want that to be aired widely to a potential jury pool. But that has never been a serious problem. We've all seen coverage of trials. Judges have been quite nimble in this respect, in determining whether witnesses can be shown or not shown, whether certain arguments, particularly in pretrial, will be made public. But the real question for Judge Graff is, are you going to make this trial available to the public? The framers felt very strongly that trials should be public. And that is reflected in the Constitution. And the reason that they felt that way is unfortunately being borne out with Erika and her objections. And the best way to avoid misunderstandings, to expose any governmental abuse, to expose what occurs in these cases, is for the public to be able to see it with their own eyes. And instead, if you have this lack of transparency, you have these contemptible conspiracy theories.
So is he saying that Erika is pushing for these for the lack of transparency. Did y'all hear that? I don't think y'all heard that. Y'all need to listen. He talking about Erika the whole time. He's talking about her the whole time. Listen to what he's saying. He basically he's saying that a lot of things may not be out there like they're supposed to be, and he was most definitely saying her
that
name.
Trials should be public, and that is reflected in the Constitution. And
so is Erika pushing for the trial to be private? Because he's saying they should be public.
The reason that they felt that way is unfortunately being borne out with Erika and her objections. That the best way to avoid misunderstandings, to expose any governmental abuse, to expose what occurs in these cases, is for the public to be able to see it with their own eyes. And instead, if you have this lack of transparency, you have these contemptible conspiracy theories that spring up, particularly now
Candace?
On the internet. And this is a way to combat that, to allow greater transparency for all parties involved.
All right, good thoughts, Professor Turley. Jonathan, stand by. Donna and Josh, stand by too, because we want to bring in Brett Tolman. He's the former U.S. Attorney for Utah, also the Right on Crime Executive Director. Brett, good to have you with us. Good observation with the judge potentially excluding the family because they may be called as witnesses at a future point. In terms of the coverage of this trial and transparency, Erika Kirk has a couple of different reasons. One is all these conspiracy theories that are out there and whether or not people from Turning Point USA were somehow involved. And then the other is...
They talking about this on the news, guys. This is crazy. Yeah, man, listen. Y'all better listen.
It's kind of like... an eye for an eye. Listen to what she told Jesse Waters back in the 50s.
The conspiracy theories is basically talking about people like Candace Owens, and they keep on saying Erika. So am I getting it wrong that Erika wants this to be a private trial, and that's why old dude was saying it should be a public one? I'm just saying.
There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras in there. Let everyone see.
So she says the camera should be
there. So she's making the point that everything about her husband's assassination was very, very public. Why should the man accused of perpetrating it be shielded from public view?
So she's saying put it in the public.
The reality is,
all right, they cleared it up.
John, is can you preserve constitutional protections, due process, and a fair trial with cameras in the courtroom? And I'm afraid that the old arguments don't really apply. The strongest argument that many have argued is, well, it turns it into a circus. You have lawyers that want to become
people be circuses every day.
Perhaps the O.J. Simpson trial was something that jades that view. The reality is, though, this is something that is needed in order to achieve justice, because you do have to have the public as part of this, and that's why you opened courtrooms. Jonathan Turley's absolutely right. They got contemplated opening the courtroom and for citizens walking in. They sat in the rafters and the galleys and everywhere else. They sat and watched trials occur. Now we have media that can accomplish that to a greater extent, and it needs to happen in this case.
Yeah, Brett, Sandra here in New York. We're watching this tape playback on their screen right now of the moments before we heard from the judge. Tyler Robinson, 22 years old, sitting with his attorneys, and he appeared smiling and even laughed at one point. And Jonathan was making the point that, oftentimes you see this, the accused criminal separating himself, being able to separate himself from the crime. I wonder if you could just further weigh in on that, as you have obviously seen courtrooms like this many times.
Yeah, and Sandra, the thing that is so easily forgotten are the victims in the case. And so you work as a prosecutor, you work as a defense attorney, and it becomes your day in, day out. And let's face it, they're seeing a more human side to Mr. Robinson than the side that the victims in this case ever received or observed. And the rest of us, look, we saw it play out on television, live, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It's the prosecutor's role and the judge's role to never let that be forgotten while he's being tried. The decorum, the seriousness of what's happening. It's not surprising to me to see somebody that was so brazen in what they did in murdering Charlie Kirk, that they then sit in the courtroom without, without what we would like to see, and that is a sense of remorse, a sense of, regret, and that's just not going to happen during this trial.
As we pointed out, Brett, at the top of this, as we were introducing you, that you were the former U.S. attorney in the state of Utah. Is there anything peculiar to Utah law that people should be waiting for here?
Well, one thing that is peculiar is Utah is at the discretion of the judge in terms of how much publicity or how much openness and transparency. A lot of states have adopted policies that can basically take that decision away from the judge.
All right, let's get back to Candace, guys. As we heard a little bit more about Tyler.
Those two ideas seem to be running into each other. How can both of these things be true? Did he want to die or not want to die? Maybe there's an explanation. It's definitely odd. And the footage mysteriously missing of Tyler Robinson turning himself in. And then, of course, there's just like things that we can't get answers to, which is the Egyptian planes, tracking Charlie, following Erika throughout years. Instead, they're laughing at these things. So what am I lying about? Explicitly lying about? Not made a molecular or a minor mistake. We got a time zone wrong. And then it's like, she lied. The plane left a couple of hours earlier. Maybe somewhere I made a mistake on a timeline of Charlie being here on this day when he's actually there on that day. But I'm talking like, where am I lying? Because I would like to stop if you can tell me. Okay? And maybe they will. Maybe we'll get to that on Saturday.
She ain't stopping, guys.
And by the way, to be clear, I am also telling the truth. It is not my opinion that these questions were pre-selected. It's a fact. It's a fact. Like I said, we have insiders. The questions were pre-selected. And one of the pre-selected questions was for Erika, and this will come out on Saturday, setting the stage for her to condemn anti-Semitism, to which she responds and speaks about, as I told you yesterday, how Turning Point will be hosting a Shabbat dinner. And in case the direction of travel for CBS under the stewardship of Barry Weiss is not clear, they even brought in during this town hall the father of the young woman who was shot in DC at the Jewish Museum. I think that was an IDF soldier. I might be wrong about that. They also brought out Hunter Kozak, who asked the last question.
And they did. We watched it all.
To Charlie Kirk. They filled the audience with people selected by CBS, college Republicans, with questions selected by CBS. So it just is objectively a controlled and a managed situation, a controlled and a managed conversation, if you will. But you can predict this. If you are at home this Saturday and you watch this and you're just, a regular old person around the world and you go, this feels really scripted. The influencers are going to come out and they're going to mark you as evil, demonic even. How dare you? Question, what? Are you kidding me? This is like, you're not allowed to say that this feels scripted ever, even though this entire thing since September 10th feels scripted to me. But that's not it. Okay, we're going to get more because Erika also sat down with Glenn Beck of Blaze TV. Now, again, this is all a part of a PR blitz for Charlie's upcoming book on honoring the Shabbat.
I told you. She said this is PR for that book. I tell y'all, Erika has been everywhere promoting this book.
Which I'm not going to be doing because I'm Christian. So I'd like to already just say no. Okay? Anyways, Glenn Beck's interview has a bunch of high points, if you will. Foremost, Erika stressing that she believes that the truth is clear. Take a listen.
I don't know how you handle this, Eric. I don't know how to be dragged into, you were involved in the death and all this crazy, evil stuff.
Oh, it's sick.
God bless you.
It's sick.
God bless you.
Erika says sick.
My family means everything to me. Turning Point USA has always been in our life and has always been so good to Charlie, and Charlie was good to his team. Everyone loved Charlie.
Yeah.
I get that. Everyone wants an answer to this evil. And sometimes the answer is very clear.
Yeah.
The truth very clear.
So I just want to say to first and foremost, Glenn setting that question up, I can't find to this day, because this just feels to me to be like the ultimate straw man, any commentator that has explicitly accused Erika of killing Charlie Kirk. I've seen psychological manipulation of influencers trying to say that if you critique Turning Point, that's akin to accusing Charlie Kirk of Erika Kirk of killing her husband, which is utterly ridiculous. But I have never seen, and maybe I missed it, I've seen a lot, somebody come out and say Erika Kirk murdered Charlie. But that's what they set up always, which is like, I don't know how you are. I've seen people digging into her background. I've seen people speaking about her Romanian charity. I've seen people looking into her mother, all of that. I've seen all of that, but I have not yet seen where this idea that they keep trying to seed into our minds that asking any questions is equivalent to accusing her of murder. That even that feels manipulative to me. Then comes in this totally.
So Candace is saying she doesn't accuse Erika of anything to do with unaliving Charlie.
Organic question from Glenn Beck. Totally organic, right? And this is going to be the extreme appeal to authority, which is, okay, if we don't want to answer any questions, we're just going to say you don't understand how the court works. You shouldn't be asking questions because that could potentially ruin the upcoming trial. Take a listen.
You concerned about his assassin is in court today? Are you concerned about being able to have a jury that's not been tainted?
No, it's a real thing, Glenn. And
what were they just talking about on the news? Tainted jury. This is crazy.
Get this, a lot of people don't, and I think that we need to do a better job of educating our citizens about our court systems. A lot of people don't know how an actual trial plays out. I am very curious about how the United Healthcare case plays out. We are living in a day and age where social media can absolutely impact. I feel it can. The reason I say that is because I don't want a tainted jury pool. I want justice for my husband. Anytime we have leads, anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. We're not messing around. None of us are involved in my husband's murder. None of us. Turning Point USA, myself, any of these other crazy accusations, none of us.
Okay, so this is what I mean, where I just feel like we're just doing the same thing over and over and over again in politics, where you can just apply any situation. Like it's how it starts. It's like they come up with a narrative and it feels really stupid. You could like apply this to COVID, whatever. And then people start asking questions because it feels really stupid. And then they tell you like, oh, I wish you guys were more educated about science. I wish you guys were more educated about doctors and nurses, and like, you're just not there. I wish we could explain to you how these things work. You're going to have to trust the experts. And yeah, I actually think that also, because you guys are not trusting the experts, we're going to have to censor people on social media, as they did during COVID, because social media is problematic. Actually, the problem is free speech, ultimately, right? Like the problem is that you have people on social media who are talking common sense and they don't understand this. Okay, that's like, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me, and it shouldn't work for you. And this next portion is where we get into the mass formation psychosis element, which is when they're trying to modify our behavior, the behavior of the masses, and they kind of want us to all form around this idea. And this is kind of actually we're all in this together psychology that you're about to see, right? The higher calling element of the psychological conditioning. You guys are focusing on the minutia of that day and whether or not the government is involved with assassinating Charlie Kirk. But, Tim Pool's telling you guys there's midterms and there's things, that's the higher calling, right? The masses should get around that higher calling. Like, even if it goes against your gut to mask your toddler, even if it goes against your gut to let your grandma die alone in a hospital, even if something is screaming at you And you're saying, why does this all feel abusive? Like abusive to toddlers, abusive to our grandparents, let them die alone. Why does it feel to me, my instinct tells me that we shouldn't put medical masks on toddlers who can't see expressions? Well, the higher calling is that you should always ignore your gut, right? Because we're all in this together, and there's something bigger that we can aspire to. You should violate your gut instinct, and that's what's coming next. Take a listen.
I don't need you to comment on this, but I think mental illness is involved in some of this stuff that is online.
Yeah,
I think it's really,
and Glenn, I'll be
honestly,
honest,
I feel bad.
I am not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my time in combating people, going toe to toe, calling people names. That's just not me. That's not how Charlie operated. There's no reason for me to go down a dark place like that. I am so tired of the fracture. What drives me nuts is that Charlie, he has worked and provided and has blessed us with so much, like literally his book, he has blessed us with so much wisdom, so much, he's just such a good thought leader. He blessed us with laser focus on the mission, on saving this country. But instead, we're so focused on who did what. Like, yes, we will figure all that out. Yes, this is a murder case. He did not die in a car crash. Yes, that will be handled. But my husband's legacy is not about his murder. My husband's legacy is what he left behind.
I just reject that. Okay, I reject that there's a higher calling that we need to all get around, and the legacy of actually the legacy, if we find out that the government is implicated, and it looks like to me, and I think a lot of people on the outside, the government is implicated, otherwise it wouldn't require every department of the government using propaganda to convince us against common sense, okay? And if we find out that the government is implicated, then actually his legacy is going to be a person who gave all of himself to helping people get elected, all of himself to this political machine, was ultimately killed by it. And I think that matters to a lot of people. And I think it's obvious it matters to a lot of people because what feels like $1 billion campaign of propaganda against it doesn't seem to be working. There is something very big that we are very close to unpacking here.
Back like we never left, guys.
Harvard, right? Does that make sense? Like, does he belong at Harvard? And they go, oh, how dare, how you evil, demonic person, are you possessed? How could you ever question his authority and whether or not he's equipped to run the charity and speak on, gun issues? He survived a school shooting. That's what they're doing right now. And I want to also say that why I don't love these interviews, and I say this with great deference to Erika, and in the beginning with some of these interviews, I said, look, like, of course, they're going to want to make sure they screen these questions. Like, she's going through a lot. Like, she's transitioning, she's doing this. I wouldn't want to be in her position. We're 3 months in now. Okay. We are still getting rehearsed answers. And I feel like what is missing from all of this is, I don't know, like passion, normal passion, not this like chat GBT feeling of, well, we all need to unite around the mission. It's like, no, I don't really care about cash. I would just be like, what is the borough doing? What has anybody traced this down? Okay, I don't know if Candace is crazy, but she says the French Foreign Legion was there. Has anybody chased this down? I texted her, I got this information. Okay, it's wrong. That's a dead end. Let me move over here. I've got files. I'm going to run this investigation alongside you, Cash. And I don't know what he's doing. I want like one critique of the FBI, one critique of anything which the public is saying is worthy of critique. Like, it's almost like you're dressing down public perception. Like, people think that you can have enough money to just cut over people's gut instincts. That's what it is. It feels like we're so rich, you don't have the right to think. Okay? We are rich enough to remove that. So stop thinking. The elites are here. It feels elite. That's why I hate this. It feels elite. It feels like the opposite of whatever turning point felt like when they were the underdogs, right? This entire presentation is elite. I'm on CBS stage with pre-packed questions and Barry Weiss, and I obviously have rehearsed this answer because I got these questions ahead of time. I obviously know I'm going to get asked this, so I'm going to do I don't even and this is a fact. You can ask anybody who's ever interviewed me. I never ask for questions ahead of time. I don't want to know. I don't want to know the direction it's going into. I never give them anything. I never say we can't talk about this. That thing's off record, because even getting questions ahead to me, preparing answers feels fake and gay, right? That just feels rehearsed, because it is. It has to be rehearsed. You got the questions ahead of time. And at this stage, I don't like it. I don't like it. I want something that feels anywhere where it feels authentic. Like one question mark that you have. You're like, oh, I'd like you to be like, I don't know about those text messages. I think Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. But those text messages are weird. It's just, I trust my team. My team is amazing. And my favorite date is April 24th, because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. And all you need is a light jacket. Like it feels fake. It does. I'm sorry. And I am still interested in getting basic answers to our questions. I don't accept that that's somehow going to ruin the court case, because that's a nonsense. You cannot logically explain to the public how letting us see Mikey McCoy's phone records is just one example. If that's really causing you so much grief, here they are. Here's who we called on that day and for how long. How would that implicate? How would that frustrate your lawyer's efforts? How would the current court case and the jury pool be impacted if you answered about why these Egyptian planes, why it's a statistical anomaly for these Egyptian planes to be surrounding Turning Point USA, Faith events, you and Charlie this many times? How would that impact? And I'm a gut player. It's common sense. So forgive me for not being elite enough and educated enough and expert enough to understand how it would impact things. Explain it to me like I'm not a legal expert, like I don't trust legal experts. I think they're all full of shit. Explain it to me that way. It's not tracking. It's not tracking. And I get it. It's me against the whole world. Actually, it's not. It's me against the elites. We've done this a lot of times. Like I said, Ukraine, COVID, there's a formula here. There's a pattern here. If all of the mainstream apparatus and all of the influencers are pushing something and calling the other thing evil, we're probably about 2 years away from them all then apologizing and being like, I just got it wrong. I shouldn't have told you to get the vaccine. It's a pattern that I've noticed. So I'm going to stick with saying that what happened on September 10th, we are not getting the truth about. We will be back after a few messages from our sponsors. All right, you guys, when they double down on abortion, we have to double down on supporting life. Through our partnership with Preborn, we can help save people beyond the numbers of us. We are too rich. We are elite, we are rich, we are powerful, we have connections, and you guys are just beneath us. There's like an element of feudalism here. Like, we are the lords, and who are you? Who are you? We can afford this, and we're gonna keep pushing, and until you believe what we say happened, even when it just makes no sense. It's frustrating. Like, I'm frustrated by it. And again, I have been clear. I think Tyler Robinson was involved on that day. I think there were multiple people that were involved in that day. Obviously, most people were involved. I think he took clothes and hid them in the cemetery or whatever next to the Dairy Queen. But I don't think that he was on campus that day. I do not believe Tyler Robinson was on campus that day. And I would just also like to point out how easy it would be for them to give us anything believable. Help me out, guys. Again, I'm not a legal expert. Glenn Beck understands this stuff, but who am I? I'm so sorry, Glenn. I don't explain it to us. But I don't understand how, if they just released a video of him taking the shot, because there's video of that, how would that ruin their case? How would that not support their case, actually? And also support their case with the public? Like, that would be the first thing I would do, rather than try to deploy this propaganda effort. you could just present something solid, like something that isn't flimsy in this entire thing. And I think that would be my call. I would just be like, here you go. There you are. Happy for you to see it. He took the shot, and you're going to see Tyler Robinson jump down, and it's not going to impact our case because how could it? It's open and shut. He wrote out his entire confession. You're seeing the footage. Nope, they can't do that. Well, guys, I'm happy to learn that Tyler Robinson is not AI because, I mean, that it's been so weird that we just can't see anything about him. Obviously, I'm being tongue in cheek, but he has finally appeared in person. He made his first in-person court appearance. Kind of seemed like he was smiling. I did not get the energy of someone who is worried about getting the electric chair. There's nothing really to add here. There wasn't anything that really came out of this hearing. Everything is obviously very preliminary at this stage. This is going to take a long time, but we're obviously hoping that they are going to allow transparency and accessibility to the case by allowing the media in there. Media organizations, even for this case, are requesting the transcript of the hearing, and hopefully we will have more. But he exists, okay? We'll keep you posted. In other news, or things that I'm frustrated about, is just more than the people who hate me and are dedicated every minute, because apparently they're allowed to get clicks off of my name. I'm not allowed to talk about what I want to talk about on my show, but they can talk about what they want to talk about over and over and over again on their show. But I reserve more contempt for the people who don't have the courage to just hate me and instead try to hide behind Bible verses. There is something that deeply and spiritually bothers me about that. And chief among them is Allie Beth Stuckey, okay? She presents herself, like her brand is squeaky clean Christianity, does a lot behind the scenes. She's hired like a monster PR agent. Anyone will tell you that. There's not a single Daily Wire host, Matt Walsh, Michael knows, nicest people ever, Brett Cooper, nicest person that will defend Allie Beth Stuckey's current PR agent, who is just literally hell-bent on advancing Israel's cause by any means necessary, like by sending someone to follow me after I was no longer employed there to try to make me look bad on camera. She keeps files and cuts people out of context and then sends it to people like Ian Miles Chong. I mean, this is a bad person who Allie Beth has hired, but we're supposed to believe Allie Beth is Christian. Anyways, I do want to point to this because she's now, no, it's always biblical. So you can never question whether or not she's just being a mean girl and using Bible verses to qualify being mean. But yesterday we peaked because she's now moved to being a teacher and letting you know that not trusting the mainstream narrative actually is, it's a rhetorical device that was used during BLM. Let's just read her post here. This really annoyed me, and even further, the comment section annoyed me, but she wrote, in 2020, we all became familiarized with the Kafka trap. It's a rhetorical trick wherein you insist that someone's denial of an accusation proves their guilt. You're denying you're a racist because of your white fragility. It's a way to make your arguments irrefutable without ever having to provide evidence. BLM uses this tactic repeatedly, and now Candace has taken a page out of their book. Anyone, including Charlie's own wife, who pushes back against her conspiracies are only doing so because it's a psyop. They're getting paid. It couldn't possibly be that people sincerely disagree with her methods or can disprove her faulty logic. It's an effective, albeit dishonest, way to solidify yourself as the only champion of truth. Now, first and foremost, this is a very unfortunate example for her to use BLM, saying that 2020 taught us that many people fall for this type of thing, because the truth is most people don't want to think. Actually, Allie, ironically, I actually did the documentary on BLM and George Floyd. And the lessons of the George Floyd movement was that the entire media, plus influencers, can collude to suspend rational thinking and can use emotional arguments, right, to get you to stop looking at a corrupt charity. I can't believe she used this example. It's like, there's nothing more that could be in my defense than saying, oh, remember what happened in 2020? Yeah, I do remember what happened in 2020. The media lied about George Floyd. They lied about how he died. A video went viral. Every influencer posted black squares, called people racist, said you were with them or you're against them. You were evil if you didn't understand how far racism had become. And then little old me did a video and I disrupted this narrative. by telling people the facts about George Floyd's background, his record. I then did a documentary on it, and I revealed to the world that the media actually is to blame. Like, they will collude with each other. These are powerful organizations. They can make something go viral. They can make...
Remember they was talking about the tainted jury pool and what Miss Kirk said on the news?
Evil look like good and good look like evil. That is actually the true lesson of corporate structure versus really just a few truth tellers, people who are actually willing and dared to question that narrative, okay? Now, my issue is that when people push back on her, she just pulls out the Bible, okay? Like, for example, this is in the comments section. Somebody wrote to her because she's been sniping at me, and it's been very mean girl-esque. This person wrote this on Instagram. They wrote in the comment section, you keep inserting yourself into this topic, but you never add any real value. So what is the agenda for you here? Candace wasn't even mean to you when you inserted yourself the first time, so mean girl energy, like, that's a fair question. She does have mean girl energy. Then she says, oh, Britt, I comment on the news. Charlie was my good friend. No one commenting on this story is inserting themselves any more than Candace is. You don't see value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically, and that's okay. Like, that sentence, just play it again. I want to read it again. You don't see the value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically, and that's okay. My content is not for you then. How does that not just make your skin crawl? I don't know. Like, does that not make your skin crawl? Just be snipey and petty. Stop using the Bible as a shield for what you're doing, okay? That woman accurately called you out. I don't know her. Thank you for saying it's very obvious what you're doing. To come back and say, I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. She is like Salve Regina George, right? Like, Mean Girls was fine because we all knew Regina George was mean, and she was like proud of that. Allie Beth Stuckey does the same like tactic of attacking people, sniping them, and then she's like, I'm sorry you don't like the Bible. I actually do like the Bible. You know, I haven't made Christianity my brand because I'm a Catholic and I don't believe that women can be priests and should be playing the part of pastors. I believe that if I have a question about the Bible, I should go to my priest, not to Allie Beth Stuckey on Instagram. But what I can say to you is that a main takeaway is the truth. You should commit yourself to the truth. And Allie Beth Stuckey has gone through great pains to cover up for people that are lying, okay? No one worse than Josh Hammer, okay? Josh Hammer explicitly lied about Charlie's state of mind. He went on multiple podcasts. He called me a liar. He never blinked on Israel. If I did not release that text message, that would have been the narrative. If you are a Christian and you purport to have been a good friend to Charlie, that's low-hanging fruit to say what Josh Hammer did here was wrong, okay? She says she's a good friend to Charlie, but when similarly I came out and said a thing about the Catholic faith, if you were a good friend, wouldn't you have said, you know what, Alex Clark, that whole little episode saying Charlie only liked architecture for what it's worth, it wasn't true. You wouldn't be running PR for her. If you were a friend to Charlie and you were committed to truth, then when Ben Shapiro lied and said that he never had any issues with Charlie, and I said that's not true, it's very, very much not true, why is your reaction every time that I expose the lie to attack me?
Let's go, Candace. Candace say she being attacked. That's really how she feel. She ain't playing around.
She's released a bunch of texts about Ben between her and between Charlie, and, you know, basically saying that they didn't like Ben very much back in the day, 7 years ago. And I just will say, like, yeah, I would hate someone to, like, after I die, to reveal texts like that, like, between us, because those texts didn't make Ben look bad. They made Charlie look bad. They made Charlie look bad.
So
and, like,
manipulative.
That's
She's
your
so
friend.
manipulative.
That's your friend, man. And why? I mean, it makes him look petty. And I'm just not sure, like, what that revelation really accomplishes. She's also criticized Lila Rose heavily, and she's kind of questioned Lila's military connections, I guess, because her husband is a veteran. She has questioned Alex Clark and Alex's decision to talk to the Wall Street Journal a week after Charlie was murdered. And Candace claimed that it would make her feel icky to speak to the media 1 week after
They is on Candace
Charlie's
top, man, in the
death. She
media.
did do a CNN interview a couple weeks after Charlie died, though. And I just want to say, like, I know Alex and Lila really well. I know Seth. I've known Ben over the years. I know Josh, and everything I know about these people is that they are kind and genuine people. And I don't believe that they deserve at all to be implicated in this way.
I don't believe that they deserve to be called out when they're lying. I think it's fine that they attacked her. I think it's fine that they lied on her. The ugly thing is when Candace stands up for herself and brings receipts. So she demands evidence. There's no evidence. I present the evidence. And then she says, you know what? Showing that text message from 7 years ago to prove that while Charlie was coming up, which is what I said, that's why it had to be from 7 years ago. Obviously, that's the crime. That doesn't make Charlie look good. You telling the truth and not allowing a bunch of people to grift after he dies by pretending they were friends with him and had no issues, people that literally tried to stop him from coming who he became, allowing Alex to just lie about where he was while you purport.
Let's take time to hit that like button, guys. Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, man. Make sure y'all subscribing to the channel if you're new. Subscribe, guys. This is everything I know regarding the Erika Kirk and Candace Owens debacle, the beef, their back and forth that they have going on.
To be a friend of Charlie, you mysteriously didn't know about the mass stuff, the Catholic conversation. The issue is me telling the truth. That's what she's saying. And in every episode, and she's done many, she always uses the Bible, okay? She uses the Bible. So how could you question it? Do you not like the Bible? I'm sorry if you don't like the Bible. Should I do that every episode? Should I say, I'm sorry if you don't like the Bible, I'm the Bible? So I just want to say, even these people that are lying, right? Well, the Bible says that I don't think it's fair for you to call out my friends when they're lying. That is naked tribalism to the Judeo-Christian cause. That is what she cares about. She is a Zionist, and she will defend people who are Zionists, even when they're caught lying. And that is not friendship. That is dishonesty. And like I said, you should be ashamed of yourself to quote scripture, use scripture, manipulate well-meaning Christians to believe that it should be their Christian position to not call out lies, to not fight lies, to just allow them to happen. I don't like that at all. And like I said, I have special contempt for the people who come in the name of the Lord when they manipulate. That's worse than just hate it. You can hate me for free. You don't got to hold up a Bible when you do it. Take a quick break and I will get to some of your questions. All right, I tell you that me and my team love paleo type with something be
no people finna ask some of the best questions. Let's go.
You'll get a free type, and that's Erika Kirk will forgive someone 1 week later for murdering her husband, but she won't forgive someone for not believing the FBI narrative. I saw a lot of people commenting that online, that the energy definitely feels different for people that want to get to the truth than it does for the person who she believes killed her husband. And I don't believe that is the person who pulled the trigger. I just don't. And you're allowed to disagree with Erika. You are.
She don't agree that Tyler, who made his first court appearance, was the one who pulled the trigger.
The last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate.
Now, we learned that Tyler Robinson was a one-time straight-A student who left college after just one semester for unknown reasons. He'd been living with a transgender roommate who was transitioning from male to female at the time of Charlie Kirk's murder. And Robinson was a gamer, active on Steam and possibly involved in furry culture. Robinson was active on Discord, and a spokesperson for the company told me in September that Robinson's account made statements about the shooting after it had happened. Utah County's prosecutor read text between Robinson and his roommate in which he said,
y'all think they got the wrong person?
Robinson confessed to murdering Charlie Kirk.
Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson again, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke, all right. I'm going to have to leave it.
He just told the whole details. I left the rifle. It was wrapped in a towel. You know, I engraved the bullets. He just told them everything they needed.
That really effing sucks.
To his
Judging from today, I'd say
boyfriend.
Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K scope. Wink, wink. Robinson again, delete this exchange. Again, Robinson, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN, not answering. Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Robinson, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Again, you are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent.
Now, right now, Tyler Robinson is the only person charged in Charlie Kirk's murder, but the investigation is ongoing. But that hasn't stopped conspiracy theories from spreading like wildfire on the internet and on YouTube among podcasters and others. Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, addressed that on the Fox News Channel show Outnumbered this week.
Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode, going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
And there have been people who've actually suggested that people at Turning Point USA had something to do with Charlie Kirk's murder. Now, we've only seen Tyler Robinson during a court appearance once, and that was via Zoom from the jail during his first appearance.
Calling case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Robinson. I'm Judge Graff.
Being on camera means that having the right makeup, or actually,
let's keep going.
WebEx with his lot wearing a green them that we sent you. During that court appearance, Tyler Robinson was wearing a green turtle suit used for people who are on watch to ensure they can't end their lives. At Robinson's subsequent court appearance, he appeared via WebEx with his camera off.
I remain steadfast in my oath that I made 56 days ago to support and defend the constitutions of the United States and of Utah. I will carry out my duties with fidelity, transparency, and impartiality, treating every person who appears before me with the dignity and respect they are inherently due because they are human beings. Let me be clear, I will not put my finger on the scale of justice. These proceedings will be open to the public, conducted in accordance with the law, and handled with diligence and competence to ensure that justice is never compromised. It is the standing order of this court that Mr. Robinson shall be allowed to appear in person so he can fully engage with his attorneys and participate in these legal proceedings. Counsel, regardless of who is watching, whether it is the nation or a single individual, we must fulfill our roles with integrity, civility, and diligence.
Since that time, the judge held a closed hearing, and now the media wants the transcript of that hearing. Judge Graff has granted a motion to allow Tyler Robinson to appear in street clothes for all pretrial hearings, but he has to wear restraints.
Mr. Robinson also requests to appear unrestrained during pretrial proceedings. He argues that visible restraints would prejudice potential jurors, undermine his dignity, and interfere with his ability to communicate with counsel. Rule 3-14 sub 9C of the Utah Rules of Judicial Administration requires that all in custody defendants be restrained unless otherwise ordered by the court. The court recognizes that Mr. Robinson has no criminal history and no record of misconduct while in custody. However, the charges he faces are extraordinarily serious, carrying potential penalties of life imprisonment or death. The safety of Mr. Robinson, the attorneys, court staff, and the public must remain the court's highest priority. The emotional nature of these proceedings also raise the risk of disruption. Given these factors, the defendant's request to appear without restraint is denied. The court directs the Sheriff's Department to conduct an individualized assessment and use the least restrictive restraints necessary to maintain safety. If those restraints impede the defendant's ability to communicate with counsel or take notes, counsel may renew the motion. I wish now to also address the decorum and media restrictions. To mitigate any potential prejudice, the court will amend its standing decorum order. The media will be prohibited from photographing or visually recording Mr. Robinson's restraints and from photographing or recording him while entering, exiting, or standing in the courtroom.
In a shirt and tie, Tyler Robinson appeared in that Utah County courtroom under heavy security. He spoke to his lawyers and smiled, even appearing to laugh at times. The hearing was in part because the media wants access to transcripts from that closed hearing from October, where courtroom security measures were discussed. The Media Coalition's lawyers wrote that the media should have access to the transcripts, citing several cases. This right of access has a time-honored history rooted in the acknowledgement that courts do the public's business, and an open court fosters and protects important societal values. It enhances the quality and safeguards the integrity of the fact-finding process, improves basic fairness and the appearance of fairness in the proceedings, fosters public confidence in the judicial process and acceptance of its results, acts as a check on the judiciary, and allows the public to participate in government. Although members of the public may not attend criminal proceedings in large numbers, the news media acts as the public's surrogate in attending such proceedings and reporting to the public, thus educating the public. Now back to the hearing.
It comes down, we're addressing three issues. The first is the October 14th, 2025 audio recording of the closed hearing and the October 24th, 2025 transcript of that hearing. The second is the state's motion to amend or clarify the publicity order, commonly known or referred to as the gag order. And finally, the motion for limited intervention and request for notice of motions to close, seal, or reclassify, and which has been filed by the media organizations and by counsel who are present today. So as we begin, the first part is we'll begin by addressing the October 14th audio recording and the October 24th transcript. This portion of the hearing will be closed so that I may hear from the parties regarding which portions of the recording, the record should remain sealed.
Thank you. Richard Novak for Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson has some immediate family members who are present, his father, his mother.
In which we already know that the family members, I don't think they're going to allow them to be there.
And his brother, and we would ask the court to permit them to remain in the courtroom during the closed portion of the hearing.
To the state.
My only concern with that, Your Honor, is that we're going to be talking about court security measures. And I don't know that we'll have to go into a lot of detail about that, but I do have concerns about those issues being discussed in public.
All right, Mr. Novak, do you have authority that supports allowing them to remain in a closed hearing?
No, I think it's subject to the court's discretion to decide who is and is not an appropriate member of the public. I think they have a unique relationship with Mr. Robinson, and they would certainly abide by any orders the court makes concerning disclosure of what is discussed in closed session. But obviously, it's up to the court.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. We're going to rule that they will be excluded as well. It is just given the nature and the sensitivity of it. I believe it is appropriate to treat all parties in the public equally. Though I do recognize their relationship with Mr. Robinson.
So this is really interesting because we had been told that Tyler Robinson's parents played a role in turning him in, but now they're apparently in court to support him. Most families would support their loved one going through something like this, but we don't know if this means that they believe he's in fact innocent or not. Tyler Robinson appears to get along well with his lawyers. They have mentioned in some court documents that they don't want cameras in the courtroom. And this kind of reminds me of Brian Kohberger's lawyers, another high-profile death penalty defendant who later pleaded guilty. Kohberger's lawyers also asked that he appear in street clothes at hearings, and they won that motion. But I don't think that's uncommon. I've seen that request granted in a number of high-profile cases over the years. Now back to court after that closed session.
We're going back on the record in case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. I note the presence of counsel that previously entered their appearances. We have come out of the closed session and concluded that business. However, the court became aware of an event that happened before. And my understanding was during the open portion of this hearing earlier that there was a violation of the standing decorum order as it relates to transmission of these proceedings. I want to hear from counsel, and then I will make a ruling concerning that.
So this was a big deal. This was the first hearing where Tyler Robinson appeared in person in the courtroom in plain clothes, and the media had been ordered to not show Tyler Robinson's restraints. Robinson's lawyers asked that the TV camera be removed.
It is our position, the defense position, that there has been a violation of the decorum order. It is our understanding that those live streaming this signed and declared that they would follow the decorum order, and they violated it. So we are requesting a sanction. We believe these court's orders are binding and they need to be respected. We also believe that it threatens my client's right to a fair trial. It's the whole reason we filed a motion in the first place to remove his shackles. It's our understanding that his shackles are visible. It is also our understanding that potentially some audio from counsel table was heard. We are definitely taking more measures on our own to ensure that that does not happen again. But there has also been some filming of computers and materials at counsel's desk. That's entirely inappropriate. And I think everybody in this room will agree that's entirely inappropriate. So we are asking for some remedial measures here. We're asking for it to terminate for today, and we can proceed after that.
Now, the attorney for the media argued to keep the cameras in the courtroom.
This is the first time that we've heard about the violation. We've not had an opportunity to look at the video or investigate the audio or look at the capture of the computer.
Man, so they wasn't supposed to film him in handcuffs and things of that nature, but they did anyway. Now they're trying to get the cameras out the courtroom. Wow. They've been talking about this, Candace and Charlie's wife, man. It's crazy.
But filming of the inadvertent filming of the shackles, I did talk to the pool photographer. My understanding is that there was a zoom out shot that did inadvertently show the shackles. That was improper. That was inadvertent. And we apologize for that. They've taken measures to make sure that the pool video that is disseminated to the rest of the pool does not contain any capture of the defendant in the shackles.
Judge Graff showed a lot of grace, and he allowed the camera to stay in the courtroom despite the violation.
Percy, does it appear to be live while you come here and ask that question? You want to watch or you don't want to watch? Matters if it's live or not, but yes, it's live.
Court does have the right and will exercise termination of broadcast of these proceedings. And I simply want to put all parties on notice, to the press, to all parties, that this court takes this very seriously. While the court believes in openness and transparency, it needs to be balanced with the constitutional rights of all parties in this case. As such, we will take a brief recess to allow the relocation of the camera.
Then the prosecutor asked that the publicity order in the case, we would usually call it a gag order, be clarified.
So in other words, the prosecution team. And there's no rule or case law or statute that expands the prosecution's duties beyond that group, the prosecution team. So with respect to clarity, we're seeking clarity as to what exactly does the court mean by witnesses. And we think the court just means the prosecution team, because if that term stretches beyond just the prosecution team, then the order as written, we don't believe is a valid and lawful order, because it would result in a prior restraint on certain speech, and at the very least would have a chilling effect on that speech.
Judge Graff says that the prosecution is claiming that there are apparently 3,000 lay witnesses to the assassination in this case.
Due to the potential confusion, this court grants the state's motion and offers the following clarification. The word witness, as used in this order, applies to all witnesses who are part of the prosecution and defense teams. This includes any witness, including lay witnesses, whom the prosecution or defense has a good faith belief will be called to testify at a hearing or trial. The court also clarifies that the publicity order as written regulates the behavior of attorneys who are associated with the defense team or the Utah County Attorney's Office. It requires the attorneys to abide by Rule 3.6 and, in order to deter non-attorneys from making prejudicial statements, requires the attorneys to inform witnesses about the prohibitions in the publicity order. Informing witnesses about the prohibitions in the publicity order is a necessary step. Informing witnesses about the prohibitions in the publicity order is a necessary step toward not intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly permitting witnesses from making prejudicial statements. The publicity order does not regulate the behavior of any person who is not an attorney associated with this case. And this order will be signed today by myself and made public.
And there was another issue regarding Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk. She will apparently be exempt from the gag order.
Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. Robinson, we certainly think it's appropriate for Mrs. Kirk to be designated as the victim representative if that is the desire of the state. just so there can be no doubt that she's afforded all of the rights assured to her under our state statutes, and we have no objection to that.
Thank you. Thank you to all parties. This court will recognize Ms. Erika Kirk as the designated victim representative in this case.
The assistant county attorney said that they're working to get discovery to Tyler Robinson's attorneys, but they say that so far they've received nearly 14,000 files from law enforcement and more may be coming. Robinson's lawyer said she wants to see the evidence justifying the prosecution seeking the death penalty in this case.
I mean, the county attorney has made a decision, a very public decision, to announce their intent to seek death the day that there was an arrest, which means that that obligation to provide us with the probable cause for everything they relied upon to charge applies now to their intent to seek death. And we're nowhere near getting that material. So that was their decision to release that. Normally that decision is not made until 30 days after a preliminary hearing. They made it in advance, and now they've got an obligation to tell me their aggravation and what they've relied on to make this a death penalty case. And we have not received that. So I'm waiting, but I'm just laying that out there for now.
So Judge Graff, he's going to issue his decision on whether to release the transcript from those October hearings with redactions or not at the end of this month. And for now, the preliminary hearing is scheduled for 3 days in May of 2026. Tyler Robinson remains in jail held without bail as prosecutors seek the death penalty against him. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much.
That's what's going on with Tyler Robinson, guys, as well as the media inside the courtroom. That's crazy, y'all. Back to Candace.
And that's fine. She's allowed to think what she thinks, and you're allowed to think what you think. That's what I want you guys to know. Don't allow this strategy to stop you from standing by your convictions. Butterfly writes, Candace, you mentioned several times that if Erika asked you to stop, you would, in fact, stop. Will you honor her request? Please stand by your word and honor what Charlie left behind. Prayers to you. I was very clear here. Erika asked me to stop lying, and I will immediately abide by that request. You know, Candace is lying. What do you want to say? Please stop. Please stop lying. I understand. I comprehend. What I don't comprehend is what I've lied about. Have I made errors along the way? Yes. But as soon as she tells me what it is I've lied about, I will cease lying immediately.
So she's basically saying she don't. Now remember, these two, Erika Kirk and Candace Owens, are gonna meet for a private meeting later on today, guys. This is wild, man. You know, she's saying Erika's telling her to stop. She stopped lying, and Candace is basically saying, "Show me where I am lying." So basically, it seems like she's not gonna stop anything because she's standing on. She's telling the truth.
Further to that point, this person writes, the pro-Fed slop comments come in two flavors. One, you said you would stop if she asked, so stop. Two, she's jealous of Erika marrying Charlie. We see through this PR, keep pushing Candace. That's another thing that I want to say. It's very obvious to me that was part of like the dress rehearsal, right? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to say stop, look into the camera and say stop. And then we are going to have all of these paid influencers be like, look, Candace said she was, where's the stopping? And now we got all these bots saying it online. Again, it's obvious to everyone what this is. So why do you guys keep doing it? Like, was there a test that was done and you did see that it would take X amount of influencers to say the same thing and before someone broke? What's the purpose of this? It could not be more obvious. It's because you're doing too much. It's just like during COVID. You were just doing too much with the vaccines, right? Soon we're going to get that, by the way. The last thing we need, now that we've done the emotional, you're going to kill grandma. And why don't you care about grandma? Do you want grandma? Do you want grandma and grandpas to die? We are soon going to be offered stuff to stop talking about it. You know, when they give out coupons, they were, if you get the vaccine, free Popeyes. Don't go backs. Free Popeyes. It was lining up. Okay, we'll give you 50% off of McDonald's if you vax up. Okay, if you don't go max, that's what you're gonna get. That seems to be the next. They got to give us a financial incentive to think that everything was above bar. It's so above bar, they won't do even the most basic things that they could release to try to convince us. Speaking of discounts, if you want a regular copy of my book, Make Him a Sandwich, for 20% off, you can head to makehimasandwich.com. And we also ship to Canada signed copies, CandaceOwens.com. The book is available on Amazon. And yeah, I guess this Barry Weiss is now she's building like her career off of, what are you talking about? What are you actually talking about? I already had a book. I already had the same merch. I had all of this already happening. What is new here? What is actually new here? You're just saying stuff. You can't just say words. And it's sad that you need a teleprompter, by the way, Barry, for that. I mean, come on. You need a teleprompter for that. It's so performative, and it's not passing the test for anybody, the gut check. We have a comment here from Alicia, Alicia Yancey writes, most can only dream of a friendship like yours and CK. As you said in 2018, the story of me and CK will be one for the ages. My hope is that our story will be about smashing limitations, a story of loyalty, trust, and imprinting the world if fearless enough, end quote. I don't even know where I said that. That was the original Go Max. I'd love to see that clip. Yeah, by the way, to the earlier comment about seeing that too, she's jealous of Eric. Like, what are you talking about? When Charlie and I were hitting the road together, just so you guys know, here's a fun fact. I had a boyfriend. I had a whole boyfriend that entire time. It was just never, I was nowhere near Charlie's type, and Charlie was nowhere near mine, okay? That was just a little brother. Truly was a little brother, and we had a lot of fun together. So that is ridiculous. That weird push is reeking of similar desperation, because I think we're getting close. I think this is all reaction, as some of you have pointed out in the comments from yesterday's episode, that suddenly we started talking about Pierre and that $1 billion incentive, and they went crazy. They started going max. So we should stay focused on our investigations. Cassie writes, I am sorry, but I am just not understanding Erica's responses. It does feel elite. People with power and money trying to hold on to something taped together with lies and deception, attacking people for asking valid questions. Yeah, it feels like they rule over us.
There you go.
And they don't care.
Attack.
They don't care at all. And they want us to know that they have these connections, and that they know media honchos, and that they have the best PR firms, and that you're evil and you're demonic, and for wanting to make $100 a day. If you're making videos on YouTube about ballistics, or thousands of dollars a day, if you're making videos talking about something that you're passionate about, which are state-sanctioned lies, whether that be Brigitte, the Coming Brigitte series, and don't forget Coming Brigitte. Nobody was talking about that in the West.
Douglas, are you alive? Are you alive, Douglas? Let me know if you're alive. And if you're not alive, how are you typing? Since you're coming through here typing, is this live? Make sure you double tap the screen, Douglas, whatever your name is. Double tap the screen. That's how you ensure that it's live. Hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new.
In the English-speaking world, some obscure topic that I got passionate about. And what is Brigitte saying in court? What is he saying in court? Oh, she's doing this for money and clicks. It's always the same arguments, for money and for clicks. But when they make the videos accusing you of doing it for money and clicks, they're not doing that for money and clicks. They're doing that because, well, if you want to know about the Bible, if you don't want to know about biblical stuff, that's what I'm here for. My content's not for you. My content is simply not for you, okay? Yeah, I will find a proverb. I'll pluck a proverb from the Bible and start using that. Maybe that will make it make sense for some people. If I'm a fraud and I say, oh, well, what we can extrapolate from this biblical text is that 30-06s don't stop human necks, then you just have to accept it because it becomes biblical. I have a comment here from Diane. She writes, why did they have to tell us the color of Tyler's shirt, maroon? Why was that important to highlight? I didn't even think about that at the time, but there is obviously an angle here, and we are still working on it, that the Maroon Boys, as I pointed out, and they're now trying to say, that's so crazy. And apparently they also mentioned the Maroon Boys in Erika's propagandized piece that's going to come out with Barry Weiss. They're going to mention the Maroon Boys because their strategy is, that's just so crazy. But all the men in the military are like, no, Candace, that's not crazy at all. That represents Air Force. and also that 10th Brigade. It turns out
the
their
Maroon
color,
boys.
the 10th Mountain Brigade, maroon. So we're on the right track, and we're going to keep pushing. You can't keep calling everybody crazy and thinking that that wins the argument. Laughter, elite laughter, like they're just in their private clubs, like, maroon shirts, Egyptian planes. It's elitist and scrappy. Anyways, you guys, there is a documentary that is available on our website, What a Woman Is. And it's it goes right along with the book that I wrote, When You Learn the History of Feminism. And I say this as someone who thought I was a feminist when I was young. Then I learned
So Candace is promoting a book. She got an album coming out, allegedly. All type of stuff. She getting her promote on too as well. But she most definitely is saying that Erika is doing a PR tour, for Charlie's book. And there's a lot of covering up going on. Charlie Kirk's wife, Erika, says that she wants Candace to stop lying. Candace wants to know, where is the lie? Man, I don't know, but they are most definitely going back and forth. As of reports of this, is saying that the meeting is supposed to happen later. Somebody came through a while ago and said it already happened. I'm not sure. I'm going to dig more into the situation to see if it happened or not. But hey, man, I'm pretty sure they're going to, Candace is most definitely going to speak on it once it happens, if it happens, when it happens. And, I most definitely bring y'all that. But that was what I know concerning the Erika Kirk, Candace Owens back and forth over Charlie Kirk's unaliving. Erika says she wants Candace to stop lying. Candace says she don't know where she's lying and she's being attacked, guys. It's on the media. It's on the pages. We most definitely going to have to most definitely keep an eye on this and see where it goes. With this potential meeting or meeting that happened, I most definitely want to know more, after viewing all of this, hearing what both parties have to say. All right, so to an update of some news that I found earlier, guys. Well, I ain't just find it, but, it was an update. People were saying basically when it came to Meathead, aka Rob Reiner, and his wife being unalive, they were saying that basically the son was involved and the police had him for questioning, this, that, and the third. Well, we have finally found out that he was most definitely involved, and he is arrested. The son, that is, for the unaliving of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Reiner. This is crazy.
Hollywood and the world in mourning after legendary actor, director, and producer Rob Reiner and his wife found dead in their Los Angeles home one Sunday. Reiner, best known as the genius behind films like When Harry Met Sally.
Waiter, there's too much pepper. On my paprikash. On my paprikash.
Their 32-year-old son, Nick Reiner, now in police custody, and could face charges.
32-year-old son, guys, in police custody. Now, they have been saying that he battled with drug addiction, guys.
As early as tomorrow.
He was subsequently booked for murder and is being held on $4 million bail.
According to the Los Angeles Police Department, the couple were stabbed to death.
Brentwood is one of the most expensive areas of LA. There are a lot of A-list celebrities that live around here. We understand that the Reiners held parties quite often, and it was a fun house to be around.
On a scale of 0 to 10 in terms of shocking, this is like a 50. This seems impossible. This was a guy everyone loved, and who seemed to love everyone in return.
As the shocking news spread, an immediate outpouring of grief across the entertainment community. Actor Kevin Bacon, who worked with Reiner on the movie A Few Good Men, posted a video to his Instagram.
Rob Reiner gave me a job in A Few Good Men. We had lunch together every day. I'd never done that with a director before or since. I'd never gone to have lunch. And Michelle would be there, and the two of them were so great together.
Writer Stephen King, whose novels The Body and Misery were adapted to the screen by Reiner, posting on X, "Wonderful friend, political ally, and brilliant filmmaker. Rest in peace, Rob. You always stood by me." Actor Kiefer Sutherland, who starred in his first major role in Stand By Me, saying in a statement, "Rob was one of the kindest gentlemen," adding, "When I was very young, he gave me an opportunity to change my life, and I will forever be grateful." Reiner's family releasing a statement saying in part, We are heartbroken by this sudden loss, and we ask for privacy during this unbelievably difficult time.
Rob Reiner was the son of Carl Reiner, who was a triple threat comedian and writer and performer in his own right.
Rob Reiner was born into Hollywood comedic royalty, first breaking out in Hollywood as son-in-law to Archie Bunker, who'd call him Meathead, the groundbreaking 70s CBS sitcom All in the Family.
It looks like we lost a daughter, but we gained a meathead.
The role would catapult him to fame and 2 Emmy Awards.
Talk about parental approval.
His filmography was both iconic and genre-defining, from his directorial debut, the rock and roll mockumentary, This Is Spinal Tap.
There was a Stone Age monument on the stage that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
The whole idea of the mock doc, the fake documentary, that was kind of unheard of. For a theatrical movie to be a spoof of the documentary of a band that didn't exist.
He would go on to make some of Hollywood's most massive hits, from Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan in the rom-com When Harry Met Sally.
I'll have what she's having.
To the star-studded and often quoted legal thriller, A Few Good Men, starring Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And coming-of-age classics like 1986's Stand By Me.
No one even asked me if I took the milk money that time.
As you wish.
And the much-beloved and often quoted Princess Bride in 1987.
Bye-bye, boys!
Have fun storming the castle!
What line makes more people smile than that? Have fun
Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel if you're new, guys.
storming the castle line. That's a movie so close to people's hearts.
Reiner's wife of 36 years, Michelle, an artist in her own right.
Michelle was a documentarian and a photographer. She and Rob actually met on the set of When Harry Met Sally, and their meeting and connection was so impactful that Rob ended up changing the end of that film because of meeting Michelle. And we all know how that film ended.
I've been doing a lot of thinking. And the thing is, I love you.
What?
I love you.
And if you don't know how that film ended, you should watch it right now and fall in love with romantic comedies all over again and have some understanding of the special bond that they had when they first met.
There we go.
In one of Rob Reiner's final interviews just 2 months ago, he sat down with 60 Minutes where he discussed making a sequel to This Is Spinal Tap.
This is Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap 2. The end continues.
A sacred rock artifact. The Citizen Kane of rockumentary.
Hey.
Well, that's
when you
pretty
read that,
good.
What a bar. I mean, what are we crazy to do another one? It's crazy. The bar is just way too high.
Sunday afternoon, LAPD, along with the Robbery and Homicide Division, responded to a death investigation at Reiner's Brentwood mansion.
It was around 3:40 in the afternoon on Sunday when we know from investigators that they got a 911 call. It went to the LA Fire Department for a medical aid, and the fire department got here and very quickly knew this was going to be an LAPD case.
It was there they discovered the bodies of the 78 and 68-year-old couple.
An LAPD source tells me that it was the Reiner's daughter who went into the home here and found her mom and dad dead, that she went in and then 911 was called. But investigators don't want to release where in the home they were found.
Their deaths now being investigated as a homicide. As the horrific events unfolded, a heartbreaking twist. Their son, Nick Reiner, booked on suspicion of murder this morning.
So it was the son, booked on suspicion of murder, guys. They saying it was the son. This is crazy.
After being taken into custody.
It's confirmed, the son.
On Sunday evening. Law enforcement sources telling ABC News, Nick was not at home when his parents were found stabbed to death. Investigators believe he left at some point after the stabbing and was apprehended near the University of Southern California.
They want to know what was going on leading up to the murders on Sunday night.
It's reported that a day before or the night of the unalivings that him and the son and the father got into an argument, which led to all of this.
There's a lot of different stories people are telling about his behavior and maybe it being erratic and arguments that may have gone on.
Nick openly struggled with addiction. In 2015, Rob and Nick created a deeply personal film together titled Being Charlie, telling the story of an 18-year-old battling addiction and his oftentimes combative relationship with his father.
It was never about the drugs. All I ever wanted was a way to kill the noise.
The movie based on the real-life experience of Nick, who is in and out of rehab. Rob and Son speaking on the experience, making the film together on Yahoo's Build series.
I don't really think it was like
that's the Son right there.
Really? I mean, of course it was a little bit, but
I mean, we did get into fights over things, but ultimately it forced us to make the film better. The whole process for me, I can just speak for myself, it did make me understand him a lot more. And I think it made me a better father.
In the film, we see some pretty difficult arguments between father and son and some pretty intense moments. And while we don't know if those were directly ripped from pages of their actual relationship, we do know that this film and that this story was largely inspired by their relationship.
And it was the first real insight into what their relationship had been ever since this young man was a child.
Off camera, Reiner also known for his political advocacy work, seen here in 2003, talking to my colleague, Robin Roberts.
Recently, with the Iraqi war, you spoke out against that. People have the right to respond by not attending a movie if they don't believe in your political views. Does that concern you?
It does, but I mean, we're all living in this wonderful country where you do get the chance to speak out, and hopefully people can separate the ideas I have politically and an entertainment piece like a romantic comedy.
Governor Gavin Newsom highlighting Reiner's legacy of political activism, saying, Rob was a passionate advocate for children and for civil rights, from taking on big tobacco to fighting for marriage equality to serving as a powerful voice in early education.
Rob Reiner used his fame and his platform to shed light on issues. He was one of the co-founders of an organization that challenged California's law against same-sex marriage, and he really helped to overturn that. I think that the work that he did in the scope of the political atmosphere probably stands just as tall as all the credits that he's had.
I just think people adored him, and I think that will never change. And it makes the grieving throughout Hollywood that much more intense, because if you met him, you had a great story about him.
What we're seeing right now is Hollywood as a collective coming together and really sharing remembrances of an iconic couple. And I think that the tributes that are pouring in are really shaping out people who helped deliver some really great art to us these last 40 some odd years.
Man, so we found out that the Son was involved, guys, in the unaliving of both his parents. That is crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? Meathead, aka Rob Reiner, and Michelle Reiner, found unalive yesterday morning in their mansion, guys. Very, very crazy, man. Wow. So we found out what was going on with Erika Kirk and Candace Owens. They got a beef going. They having to sit down or done sat down already. Something is going on with them. We most definitely found out about what's going on with the Tyler Robinson case. He is the one that is alleged to have took out Charlie Kirk, and it's crazy, y'all. Erika wants it to be public. She wants the cameras to be able to see. The cameras made a mistake the last time and filmed Tyler in his shackles, almost getting kicked out the courtroom. They had to reposition the cameras, guys. Not alive. That means they perished. That means they passed away. Whichever way you want to phrase it. I just don't say the D word because I don't want to. Spin whatever your name is. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So if you know what I'm meaning, then there's no need to address it in the chat, my guy. Shout out to Dwayne, for that gift. Make sure if you're not subscribed to this channel that you subscribe, guys. Subscribe. We on the road to 58K. We need all the subscribers we can get. So if you're in here and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, take time to double tap their screen, hit the like button, or click the 3 dots in the right hand corner, hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel, man. I fulfilled everything in my title. I gave y'all all the information I could find on the subjects that's in the title, which is Erika Kirk, and Candace Owens situation, as well as I gave an update to the people that was with me yesterday morning or yesterday evening, whenever I went live. I think it was in the morning, to everyone who was here when I broke the news about Rob Reiner, guys. So this is the update for y'all at the end of this one, which is the son was most definitely involved. He is under arrest right now. Earlier, it was just speculation, but now they're reporting it on the news that he has been arrested, guys. So until I shout out to my new subscribers as well as all of my old ones. Shout out to all of my members. I most definitely appreciate y'all, man. Shout out to my mods. If you're a mod on this channel, make sure you get your work shirt. You know, it is a requirement over here, but I most definitely appreciate each and every one of y'all. I most definitely will be back with the most latest and breaking news, information. If it catches my attention, I'll present it to y'all. Hope it catches y'all attention. If you like the brand of entertainment you receiving, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And most of all, y'all stay safe out there. Sidewalk Gang, checking out. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be good. I'm gone.